of Chiefs practice, and they break camp. They head back to KC, and then they'll, of course, end up down out in Phoenix on Saturday for preseason game number 2. We're inside the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. A beautiful day, Cody, up here in St. Joe. Good crowd as well, one of the final practices, and I think the nicest day of camp by far.
It's gorgeous. I mean, it's not humid, a light breeze, and like 70 degrees. It certainly is going to be tough to beat. I'm sure the players are probably taking this respite as a nice win for them, and I can't blame them. It's a lovely day at camp. At least we're going to finish here without any rain, I think, the final 3 days of camp if you're looking to come up.
I think you're right.
I do think Thursday will be short, though. So if you're coming up for Thursday's practice, come early.
Yeah, Thursday is a getaway day basically for them, right? You know, they want to get back to Kansas City and pack everything up as quickly as possible, but got to get through today and tomorrow's practice first. We are expected to hear from Andy Reid in the 11 o'clock hour, probably closer to 11:30 or later than that. Get an update on maybe a couple injuries. They also made a couple minor transactions today for guys way further down the potential roster. So nothing of note there, although one quick note, Pete Sweeney had pointed this out. We looked over at the medical tent. It looked like Chiefs wide receiver that fans kind of really enjoyed watching on,
a really good game.
Saturday. Nico Remigio.
As we learned via his own Twitter account.
Maybe something with his shoulder. Pete thinks maybe they were trying to pop the shoulder back in. We'll get official word after practice, but don't like seeing that for a guy that's become kind of a fan favorite as well already. Thinking of fan favorites, though.
No, but I mean, oh, yeah.
Thinking of
Let's
fan favorites,
first.
Cody. Justyn Ross expected to join us in the 11 o'clock hour after practice.
I was back and forth for a minute, trying to decide not if he should be on the show. Obviously,
he's
more than deserving
we wanted
to be
him
on
on the show all camp.
We're happy to have Justyn Ross on the show. But I think that I would be a disingenuous person if I had Justyn Ross on this show and did not at least explain what my hesitation and maybe what this show's rules were for a brief period of time regarding his contribution.
Yeah.
But now we're in training camp and all those things. Maybe he'll understand.
No, I mean, I think it's fair. We'll obviously talk about the hype that he's getting, but, like, honestly, ask him, like, do you think there's enough opportunity for you to make an impact this year on this team? Like, we think you're going to make the roster now, maybe as the 6th or 7th wide receiver, but do you think there's an opportunity with so many guys potentially ahead of you to actually make an impact? I think it's fair. We've been talking about that. We won't hide from that, so we'll talk. I'm looking forward to
I can't run away from it because we have definitely mentioned Justyn Ross on this show more since training camp started and had a long-standing rule about not mentioning him.
One other thing I'll point out, because we actually have a good spot today where even though the play clocks are in front of us, the ones are coming in our direction. They're doing some team stuff. And you notice the wide receiver group, at least it's just one little series they're doing, but who were the number one wide receivers out there with Patrick Mahomes? MVS, okay. No, we all expect that.
Sure.
Rashee Rice and Richie James. Other practices, it's been Sky Moore, MVS, Justin Watson.
They are doing things and have done things differently this year than I think most teams who want their wide receiver, because I think that they realize they don't have anybody who deserves, like, let me just get used to these 4 people. And when I get used to these 4 people, these are the 4 people I'm going to throw to. I don't need to spend snaps throwing to guys like Rashee Rice. I'm not going to throw to him this year. And I don't even think that players do that, but that's the report that, like, Tom Brady would do. Like, if you go back through, you see these things, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not throwing to you. Damon Hughes actually talked about it on Players Only one week, like how Montana's like, not him, someone else, like someone I'm going to throw the ball to. And I think what they're doing here, and a lot of times in these rotation with the ones, is he knows he's going to have to throw to a lot of different of these players.
Yeah, everybody's getting the ball from Mahomes, which is good. It makes sense, right? I mean, everybody's getting a chance to catch the football from Patrick Mahomes. But I do think it's interesting. First practice after the preseason game, in which we thought both Rashee Rice and Richie James were 2 of the better receivers on the field. Well, so far at practice, they were the first look at the ones at wide receiver. That's who they were given the opportunity to. We'll see the rest of the day. We'll also see the next preseason game, what that looks like when we think the starters could play more. But of note, it wasn't Justin Watson as the 3rd receiver like he had been throughout camp.
A touchdown just went off the fingertips of Sky Moore's hand. Now Patrick Mahomes looking around, looking for somebody. I imagine he would have had pressure by then based on the amount of time, but he eventually finds Blake Bell for the score. But when you, like, as I watch this, right, it's 1-1, right? Defense wins 1, offense wins 1. I was asking myself a question that if we're going to look at the Chiefs' defensive performance from the preseason game and be like, could you show me something that proves to me that you're serious about this, then let's just ask the very serious question. They said they want to be a top 10 defense. They say advanced analytics, let's just call it points per game. because that's the metric this damn show is going to use, because I'm not going to aggregate 15 different advanced analytics to try to figure it. We're not the show. If you would like me to break down the hole that Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't run through in your opinion on a backside run, this isn't the show for you.
Right.
You can find that boring nonsense somewhere else.
Yes.
But let me tell you about what are the 3 things we think have to happen on defense in order for them to be that top 10 defense. Let's just start with the obvious. They need a second pass rusher to develop this year. They need George Karlaftis to be, in my opinion, to be a top 10 defense, to be a viable, veteran-like second-year defensive end. They need him to be like when they signed Frank Clark and he shows up and get 8 sacks. He doesn't have to be a 15-sack guy, but he needs to be the second-best pass rusher on this team, in my opinion, for them to be a top 10 defense.
So I'll take that. I'll broaden that out a little bit. I'm with you. I think in general, if we're trying to put a number attached to what it has to look like, well, they don't have to be second in sacks like they were a year ago, but if you're looking at how can they be a top 10 defense, well, to me they have to be top 5 to top 7 in sacks this year. They were number 2 last year. The Eagles were way in front of everybody else. The historical year for the Eagles, they're going to probably take a step back in terms of their sack numbers based on who they lost. And the Chiefs know that they had 15.5 sacks from Chris Jones. Take the holdout situation with Chris Jones out, probably not getting you 15.5 sacks this year anyway. He could have been at camp, and I probably would have said the same thing. I don't think he's likely to give you 15.5 sacks again.
That's pretty unlikely 2 years in a row.
So to your point, who else steps up? I know you're bullish on Karlaftis. You think he's a double-digit sack guy. I think he increases his sack number, maybe not to 10, but I'm with you where I think we see it get bumped up at minimum, to 8. And so I think the Chiefs need to be in that 5 to 7 range of sack numbers in the league. And then the other part, this is all like very simple stuff. It sounds easy, right? Turnovers. Last year, if you looked at their takeaways per game, they were 19th.
It was bleak for a while, their ratio.
Yeah, they were 19th in the league. The gap, so they had like 1.3, and then 15th in the league, for example, or 10th in the league was 1.4. Okay, it's not much of a gap to make up. But if they need to be top 10. They need to be top 10 in takeaways per game this season. Because if you're going to be a top 10 defense, you need to be top 5, 7 in sacks, I think. I think you need to be top 10 in takeaways per game for starters.
So I was going to say Reed needs to take the jump, but we're following a similar timeline because they need a get-the-ball guy on defense. I still don't think it's going to be McDuffie, not from his own doing, but because he's too good. I think the way that he plays coverage corner means teams don't challenge him, which means Jalen Watson or Snead or Reed or somebody else in the secondary.
Practice.
I know.
He's still not out here, man. It's been, a week and a half, 2 weeks? I think August 1st was the last time he was at practice.
And then the last thing for me, outside of Justyn Reed needs to take a leap, Karlaftis needs to step up. That way it's like, all right, 2 defenders who were good last year for this team, really solid defensive players, should be better in year 2 with this team, take that step forward, and they are vitally important players to go in there. The final thing for me is they have to, at some point, have a rotational defensive line that goes 8 deep. I don't know, and I know I'm separating Karlaftis from that because you're following the same line. But to me, the idea is that they have to be like the 49ers in this regard because they don't have the dominating forces. I would just say Chris Jones physically has to show up, but you and I both know that if Chris Jones isn't here, they're not a top 10 defense. We don't have to have the conversation anymore, but we both expect him still to be in camp or be on the team at some point. Even though we set a few deadlines.
They had numbers on the defensive line last year. They ran pretty deep. At that point, they still had Colin Saunders. Of course,
that's what helped them get close to top 10 last year.
Derek Nottie, and they're going to be a little thinner to start the season with Minihue out for the first 6 games. And to this point, they still haven't gone out because they don't have the financial means to do it, really, while the Chris Jones negotiation is going on. They haven't gone out and found that extra veteran. I know Andy, a week or so ago before the preseason game, the first one said, they felt good about where their defensive line is at right now, numbers-wise, when he was asked if he needed to go out and find veteran help. We'll see if that continues after 2 preseason games. Does it, Carlos Dunlap, I'll still keep mentioning his name because he's not signed by anybody. He's still waiting out there. I would like to think that he's waiting for the Chiefs. At some point, though, he's going to have to make a decision if the Chiefs don't end up ponying up a contract for him. So we'll see how that plays out. The last one for me, and you may think that this isn't a requirement, but we're talking about the expectations for a top 10 defense. I think Justyn Reed has to be an all-pro. I think Justyn Reed might have to be an all-pro for this defense to actually be top 10 because if he's an all-pro, then it fits the takeaway discussion we're having. It fits a lot of the other areas. I think if they're going to be a top 10, it revolves around Justyn Reed, who had a rough drive and a half of the preseason game, all right? But I think that's the player that has to take a leap and become more like Tyrann Mathieu was his first year in Kansas City?
Oh, I mean, I'll say this, like a close runner-up when I was trying to do this conversation last night is probably the secondary in general, but I have a lot of faith in them because they're going to get tested. Here's the problem. 7 of the top 10 defenses might be in the NFC. Okay? They just might be. We might have to view it through a different scope because all of the damn quarterbacks are in the AFC.
Right.
You're not scoring 17, 21, 24 points and winning in the AFC very often. You are going to have to score.
Wasn't average last year 22 points a game or something like that, or 21 points a game?
Look, that's why some of the top defenses are going to be on that side. They've got some of the better defensive players too, right? They got a Bosa, they got Micah Parsons, they got some great defensive players in the NFC. But a huge chunk of the quarterback talent resides in your conference. So the secondary, including Justin Reed, is going to be tested over and over and over, over and over and over. But I don't think you can find a deeper secondary in the entire AFC than the Chiefs. They have the potential for an all-pro safety.
As long as Snead's playing, I'm with you.
Yeah. Fine. Yes.
As long as Snead's out there, I'm with you, man. Snead's got to get, I'm guessing the Chiefs right now with this knee inflammation, they're like, hey, man, we're going to let you can sit out another 2.5 weeks. We don't care. We know what you are as a player. You can get that swelling down in the knee. Oh, and I think Snead will be available. I really do week 1. I actually think that's likely to happen. The question is, after he plays that Thursday game against the Lions,
how many days does he need?
Yeah, is that swelling there? And he gets a little bit more time out from week 1 to week 2 because of the Thursday. But is he available week 4 after playing 2 or 3 games in a row? And does the swelling go down in the knee then, or does it come back up? I really think it's something they're going to have to monitor throughout the year. And we've talked about this over and over. It has a feeling like there could be a couple games randomly where he just doesn't play because they want the swelling to go down, that they look at the schedule and maybe they have a better feel of the games where he's more necessary. You want him to play all 17, but they might have to pick and choose a little bit to make sure the knee's right when they have a huge game, let's say, against Cincinnati or a big game against the Chargers, some of these divisional games. We'll see. Hopefully not.
No, but, I mean, everyone's going to be tested. Like, I'm going to guess that you're going to need, on most AFC games, you're going to need 27. To win a game, you need 27. The good news is for the Chiefs, they've averaged over 27 points per game the entire time they've been under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So no one's better suited for shootout football. That's always been the great thing about the defense is that it feels like if it clicks, then we could be talking about one of those special years. If they run into one of those top 10 defenses, then Gold, we're not talking about, hey, who do they have to play? Are they trying to get fight for home field advantage? Because if they run into a top 10 defense one time while Patrick Mahomes is in his prime and they're playing like this offensively, they're going to go 16-1. They're going to go 15-2. Like, if they have both of those things click at the same time, week 1, they have had the defense play like a top 10 defense starting
just
about
the
week
playoffs. Just needed to happen. Just needed to happen late.
No, they still won the postseason,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that's where they'll have one of those seasons where you're like, my God, they're the best team, and it's not even close, is if the defense clicks week 1 one of these times. That's another thing it's probably going to require at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If they're a top 10 defense.
Okay, so
try not to. Start slow.
Based off of, you asked me the question, what are the 3 things that they would have to do to be a top 10 defense? As we're talking about these, how realistic is that? Because I still think it's pretty bold to think they're actually going to end up being 10.
I think it's hard for all 3 things to happen at once for either of us.
I believe this defense, who in points per game were, 16th or so last year, roughly?
Yep, right around there.
I think there's a chance they're 12th to 14th, and that's improvement, by the way. And it depends on those opportunistic moments in the right opponent. Are they able to make the plays when it matters most? You could have some rough moments, but in the right game against the right opponent, are you able to step up? If you're asking me definitively to tell you, do I think they'll end up as a top 10 defense this year? No, I don't. I know
think
the players,
that's their ceiling.
I know the players are talking about that. That's clearly the goal, the focus, and I got no problem with that whatsoever. I don't think they'll actually reach that, but I do think they'll be better defensively as long as Snead is playing this year. But I don't believe they'll actually end up reaching that top 10 mark.
No, my guess is I still think it's their ceiling. I still think there's a 5 or 10% chance they can turn into that. But, yeah, it requires a lot going right. Not every little thing. You can have these little hang-ups here or there, but a lot going right in order to do it. One of those things is Chris Jones. We know he's still not at camp. There's only 3 days remaining in St. Joe.
Yeah.
We're only here for 2 more days up here in St. Joe. No signs of him. But I got a little renewed hope yesterday because the Cowboys caved. Zach Martin is ending his holdout with the Cowboys after he reworked the final 2 years of his deal, getting himself a raise for no other reason than he complained. He's now going to make $18 million a year. It's going to pay him at the top of the guard market again. It's like a $5 or $6 million raise each of the next 2 years because they realize how important Zach Martin is to their team. I'm hoping this wakes the Chiefs up to the importance of Chris Jones. Does that make sense? Because if this wakes up Chris Jones in the I'm going to be even more defiant, they just gave this man a $5 million raise out of nowhere camp, then it could be a problem. But it gives me renewed hope. There's only 2 people holding out left. There's reports the Raiders GM thinks Josh Jacobs is close to returning. We've heard absolutely nothing about Chris Jones, but there aren't that many people still not going to camp.
I appreciate the optimism, but I'll be honest, I don't think either of them is nearly the same situation with what's going on here. Let's start out in Las Vegas with Josh Jacobs. He's now seeing that Dalvin Cook only got $8 million from the Jets with $7 million guaranteed. He's got a sheet of paper he can sign right this second and get $10.1 million. Yeah, I'd be showing up too if I'm Josh Jacobs here all of a sudden as Harrison Butker drilled a field goal right over our head and everybody's turned around on top of the tent. The other one you mentioned is Zach Martin, the guard there for the Cowboys. I think that's different too because you're right that he's getting a quote-unquote raise out of nowhere, Cody. But the problem with that, the reason why it's not the same as Chris Jones is looking for a 3 or 4 year deal that's going to have, $70 million guaranteed. That's going to go over $100 million. It's a lot easier to do what the Cowboys just did with Zach Martin, even though they had 2 years. They redid 2 years of the deal. The Chiefs are trying to do a whole new deal. So I think both are different. I don't think it has any role in how the Chiefs and Chris Jones discussions are going to go.
So technically Josh Jacobs isn't a holdout, just for starters. He's technically hasn't signed his franchise tender.
Correct.
So that's why Chris Jones is the last. If you see a headline that says, Chris Jones, the last remaining holdout. Well, holdout, yeah. But, there's other people involved in this across the board. So that's a factor. Sorry, people are cheering because Butker is continuing to kick balls.
Unfortunately, this fan doesn't realize they're going to make you throw that football back, buddy. Yeah, he thinks he got a football from Butker on that kick.
No.
Yep, he had to throw it back.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
This is not the Arena Football League. Do you remember that?
Although, I'll be honest, at training camp, let him keep the damn ball. Let him keep the ball. You took a ball with no hesitation. You still have it. Should be in the Cody and Gold garage sale by now.
One of these days it will be, probably. Just give it time, and then one of these days it will be. But when
is it ethical for that fan to just run away with the football?
That'd be fine. What are they going to do, find him? They're never going to find him. It's not like there's a bunch of cameras up. It'd be fine.
Just dip out.
Quinn, if he wanted to steal it, nobody would stop him. But it's like, is it worth it for one unsigned training camp football, It's just a football in the end. It's not that.
And what that guy needed to do is catch it and run and leave.
Yeah, that's what Quinn said. He's like, would have been unethical. Yeah. No, you just sprint.
Go.
You just start stiff-arming people. Spin moves on the way out, whatever you got to do.
Nobody's going to stop you if you just run. No. Now you got to leave practice. You got to be done.
You got to be done for the day. Hope you don't have your kids with you or family or friends because your day
looks like they
complete.
got a newborn next to him. So, he's got the baby with him.
That's
Probably
can't
challenge. Run. Probably can't run from that.
Probably not. Also, he has a baby. Then they should really let him keep the football,
I mean, it looks like it. I mean, when I say baby, it might be like a 3-month-old. I mean, this baby is tiny. This is up there, row 2, up a little bit higher.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks like a newborn, man. Right?
Yeah.
Like within the last.
You know what? That guy's a hero.
2 or 3 months.
He protected his baby.
He did.
What if he had dropped that kick?
Yeah.
He drops that kick and it just drills that baby. You'd feel a lot worse. Now all of a sudden I'm nervous. Now every kick that goes up, I hope doesn't go over the net. Oh, man. Okay. Well, at least there's that. By the way, they had asked us on the morning show, what is your drop-dead date for
Chris Jones?
For your concern level. Your concern level hasn't changed in like 3 weeks.
Out. He's got to be back by 10 days out. I think inside of a week, it's not that I think he's going to be overweight and out of shape. That's not what it is. But I still think there is such thing as rust. Like, you think he's going to be just as good as he was? Just as good as he was week 15 last year and week 1 if you're telling me he hasn't done a single practice?
Bob thinks they're going 20-0.
Well, every year. I get that. 17-0. I think is what he usually says. He's already factoring the Super Bowl now.
Well, I mean, if you're going 17-0, you might as well go the rest of the way, right?
That's right. You didn't tell me so what's the date for you then?
I still think my concern level begins the uptick at 2 weeks before the first game for his ability to be ready for the regular season and any ability I think they have to get an extension done, right? It's not dead in the water, but I start dipping below that 50% mark that I've been hovering around the same for the last 2 weeks, right? He held out. He was serious about it. He's taken $1.1 or $1.2 million in fines. Yeah, 2 weeks out. So I guess that's this Thursday? This Thursday? Or is that next Thursday?
They play the 7th. Today's only the 15th.
Okay, so I got next Thursday. Once that kicks over, then I'll start paying attention to it.
Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we'll talk a little Royals baseball. We'll be joined by the general manager and vice president of baseball ops, JJ Picollo. Wild, fun game last night. You had the inside the park homer.
We were watching the end.
A no-hitter into the 7th, and then the bullpen gave up multiple runs, gave up the lead, and then the Royals had a walk-off bunt. So we'll talk about that. And who was impressed so far? Cole Reagans, his return off of the trade. We'll talk to JJ about that and where things stand right now with the organization looking ahead to the future. Did want to talk about Brady Singer real quick, though, individually, because he did have a no-hitter going into the 7th inning last night, and this is now multiple starts in a row again. Kind of reminds you a little bit of last season at the tail end, right? He's starting to look more like that guy again over the last 4 or 5 starts, and that's obviously a great sign. A, it's a great sign because he's part of your rotation next year, or B, it's a great sign because build up that trade value if you're actually going to move him in the offseason. Either way, it's great.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter which way you look at it. It's fantastic news. But it's also being his most recent stat's not up here. It's also being somewhat disingenuous to how long he's been good. Yes, now he's starting to look dominant again, right? Where he looks completely in control and he's going to dominate some guys because he went 7 innings and allowed a couple of runs last night after almost taking a no-hitter into the 7th inning. But if you're like, well, it's just a flash in the pan, classic Royals, August, September, they're getting good. Brady Singer has a 4.01 ERA since the start of May, not including last night's start. So he has a sub-4 ERA since the start of May. That's his entire season. He had 6 bad starts in April, and other than that, Brady Singer has been a number 2 starter in Major League Baseball based on pretty much any metric you can find. And look, I could easily nitpick and just give you since May 13th and then include this start, and then I could drive his ERA down to like 3.3 if you want, right? I can take whatever sample size you want, but if you take the whole picture of it, Brady Singer's been very good for a long time. I missed part of it because it felt like he had some waves there in the middle in May and June when he was still trying to find it a little bit. So it was like really good start, okay start, average start. And because you didn't see that ERA coming down because of what happened in April, it started to feel like maybe he was stuck in a stagnant area, and he's not. He's been very good once again. The Royals at the moment, once again, have a guy you can trust to be an opening day starter, even if he's not a 1. I told you, the long-term plan for the Royals can't be, let's see how many, let's get a true number 1. Probably their plan is like, how many 2s and 3s can we get? Can we have a better 2 that is normally a 4, right? Like, we got to up the back end to be better because the ones aren't coming here for the price.
Yeah, like Jordan Lyles next year needs to be your 5th starter, not your 3rd or 4th starter. That, to your point. That's one thing next year if Jordan Lyles is eating innings left and right and he's your 5th starter.
But can you get Nate Eovaldi and get another 2 starter? So you get Brady Singer.
Yeah.
I know, he's like 33, though, so he'll be.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a season.
I know, but let's just say someone like that, right? A guy who's been a 2 his entire life, 2 or 3. You get Eovaldi, 2 or 3. Singer, 2 or 3. Let's say Reagans keeps pitching this well, 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, now it's a rotation, right? It's not perfect, but with the way the hitting's been going, there is some optimism.
It's kind of wild,
too. It's been fun to watch Brady pitch.
Well, last night was a really entertaining game, and they've been fun to watch here really the last couple of weeks off and on. I will say last night was also a reminder when we said, hey, you know what, it's okay to trade Barlow, it's okay to trade these bullpen guys. You knew that in the second half post-trade deadline here, you were going to have some games like last night over and over where the bullpen arms, you don't have them. And so last night they almost cost them the game because of that. Like, they traded away, which was fine. It was the correct decision. But there's a bunch of bullpen pieces that they're going to have to find in the offseason within the organization or elsewhere, though, because they don't have anybody back there right now. Now, maybe Brent's eventually comes back, and Brent's is all of a sudden doing a rehab assignment. Didn't think he had a chance to pitch again in the majors this year. We'll ask JJ Picollo this, but the way his rehab assignment, I think it's supposed to start tomorrow. Maybe Brent gets back up with this club this year, and he sets himself up to be part of the bullpen next year. They could certainly use his arm in the pen because right now they're so thin there. That's why you're seeing the results that you're seeing.
But that's supposed to be the easiest thing to remedy.
I understand, and I'm fine with them doing the trades, but I'm just saying now you're seeing the repercussions from it. Like, for those that are frustrated about the bullpen giving up runs last night, like, you kind of knew that was going to happen. You traded away Chapman and Scott Barlow and others. Like, you kind of had a feeling that's where this was going to head, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I knew it was going to be a roller coaster of emotions the rest of the way in the bullpen, and it was.
We'll talk more about this with the general manager of the Kansas City Royals, JJ Picollo. He's going to join us next. We'll talk about that wild and fun game last night, plus Cole Reagans and what he's brought to the table so far.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah.
Clear.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Football season is here, and whether you plan on going to the big game or having a tailgate at your house, you need Smokehouse Barbecue. Let Smokehouse cater your entire event. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings, and don't forget about Smokehouse's hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go along with your meal as well. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. Check them out at SmokehouseBBQ.com. That's SmokehouseBBQ.com. For over 35 years, locally owned and family operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR.
JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR.
In fact, JR & Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof,
you're always better with a roof from JR.
Go to jrhailcheck.com.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, when it comes to prostate cancer, what makes KCUC the best?
KCUC treats more prostate cancer than anyone else in the metro, and for that matter, in this part of the country.
What does that mean for the patient?
As part of cancer care, a patient will need a urologist, a pathologist, a medical oncologist, and a radiation oncologist. We offer specialists, board-certified specialists, in all those areas on site. It's important to a patient because they want the best possible care with the best possible outcomes with the fewest chances of side effects. Without a doubt, Kansas City Urology Care is the expert in prostate cancer therapy.
See the prostate cancer experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go.
He's online. I'll put him on here in a minute.
Or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Superstart battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The second half of the baseball season is here, and each game means a little bit more. We're talking pennant races and wild card chases, with each pitch bringing us closer to the playoffs. The free Odyssey app.
Yeah, I put him on hold now.
Play of your local team. So no matter what you're up to, you'll never have to miss another game. Download the free Odyssey app today and keep baseball close by all summer long. That's AUDACY. Odyssey.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Stop by any Arvest branch to find out why banking with Arvest and the Arvest Go mobile app makes life easier. Arvest Bank, proud to be here game day. Let's do this.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold. Cody Tapp with you in St. Joe. Chiefs training camp practice continuing. Should go till around 11:15, 11:30 or so. We are expected to have Justyn Ross join us, Cody, but unfortunately, during the break, we noticed Justyn Ross has made his way over to the Chiefs medical tent. And from our vantage point, it looks like they're working on his left leg, something with his left leg right now. So usually how that goes, unless he returns to practice, Cody, we probably will not end up talking to Justyn Ross today, unfortunately. But hopefully everything's all right with Justyn Ross, who, of course, has been battling injuries throughout his end of his college career and into his early portion of the NFL. And finally, this preseason on Sunday, got an opportunity to play and got his first touchdown catch. So hopefully it's something minor over there for Justyn Ross. We'll let you know as soon as we get an update when it comes to that. We'll hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid in the 11 o'clock hour as well with our training camp coverage brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. But let's talk a little Royals baseball. We mentioned that wild, fun game last night. So let's talk to the GM and the Vice President of Baseball Operations for the Royals, JJ Picollo. Always good to have you on, JJ. Wanted to just start with last night. I mean, that's about as wild and fun of a game as you can have at this point in the season, considering the inside the park homer, a no-hitter in the 7th, and then you guys walk it off with a bunt.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. A lot of emotion, excitement. Watching Brady pretty much dominate the game, and his pitch count was low, so you start tallying up the pitch totals, and you're thinking, all right, he's got it in him to finish this thing off. And other than the one walk, I mean, he was one hitter away from a perfect game. Other than the one walk, so that was exciting. And the no hitters broken up, and next thing you know, we got a ball game, and then we're behind. And along the way, as you said, Bobby with the inside the park homer, and the safety squeeze. It's been in our back pocket, all season. It's a couple walk-offs with a safety squeeze, but it's a weapon we need and the type of game we need to play. So it was nice to see Blanco get that down, and Samad's done a great job in reading those bunts. So it was fun. A lot of fun to come out with a win.
Is Bobby the most talented player that's been in the organization since you've been around, JJ?
Yeah, there's not a tool he doesn't have. So if you just go across the grading scale, I mean, run, throw, hit, field, power, he's got it all. We talked a lot about Mondesi over the years. He's very similar, switch hitter, but Bobby is producing, and he's doing such a tremendous job just really with his growth. I mean, you think about what he's doing offensively, but also what he's done defensively. He's turned himself into a well above average shortstop, and that's great to see. But those of us that have been around him, who scouted him in high school, watched him in all those all-star games, then we were around him through the minor leagues, that it's a special talent. And even when he wasn't necessarily performing up to his abilities, he was still putting up good numbers. And now that he's found a groove, it's becoming pretty special. So it's exciting to see, and that's what we needed. You need your best players to perform, and he's performing right now, and I don't think it's a coincidence we're winning ball games because of it.
You'd mentioned his defense. I'll be honest, JJ, like in conversations on the air, I had asked the question, be like, okay, he struggled a little bit in short in his rookie year. Maybe he goes the Mickey route and he gets bigger and he hits home runs because he's got all this raw power and he'd be such a good third baseman. And now I'm watching him play shortstop. I'm like, well, that was foolish. I mean, at any point, or I guess now, do you guys feel like, hey, shortstop's where he's going to be for 10 years?
Yeah, we have no reason not to think that, and I still think he's going to get better. He's going to continue to get better. The thing that separates him, he's able to make special throws in very awkward positions because of his athleticism. So he can make that special play. I think early in the year we were seeing him make more mental type of mistakes, and he's cleaned that up. And then fundamentally, he's just getting better and better every day. I think, one of the focuses Jose Aguisil, our infield coach, has had with him is really just moving to his left. We're seeing him range to balls to his left now, better than he did earlier in the year. The backhand is always good play. I mean, the throw he made last night off of his back foot, there's not a lot of guys in the game that can just plant their back foot. And I don't know what the velocity was across the infield, but it was probably 94, 95 miles an hour across the infield. And there's just not many guys who can make that type of throw. So, a lot of credit goes to Bobby. He's put the time in. He works every day. He's being led by Aggie, and he's doing a tremendous job. And I think the left side of our infield is really, really good right now. So defense is a pillar for us, and now that we're playing better defense, we're playing better baseball.
We're talking to the general manager, vice president of baseball operations for the Royals, JJ Picollo. Over on the pitching side, I don't think we've had a chance to, since maybe the first start for Cole Reagans with the Royals, to talk about what you guys have seen out of him. Other than Brady Singer, really even going back to the end of last season, we feel like he's probably had the best 3-game, now coming up on 4-game stretch as a pitcher, other than maybe Brady for you guys here.
Yeah, Cole's been a great addition. I think the game that he came up and pitched against Tampa sort of set the tone. I mean, that game, I think, opened a lot of guys' eyes, and we know competition breeds excellence, and he raised the bar a little bit that day. We need competition amongst our starting pitchers, and the starts since his first start have been good across the board. So we're really happy with what he's done. He's got a great, really, 4-pitch mix. He's got a lot of confidence to throw his off-speed pitches for strikes. So when he's behind in count, it's not a fastball from him. He can land his breaking ball. He's developed a cutter. The changeup is good, and obviously the velocity, he's got plenty of velocity, and he does it pretty easy. So, it's been a really good addition for us. He's still a young pitcher in the major leagues, learning. We knew this when we acquired him. He's a student of the game. He's got great routines. He's got great study habits. And, we couldn't be any more pleased than we are with his addition.
When you look at, you've talked about evaluation year and taking a look at these players and figuring it out. When you look at where the young hitters were to start the season versus JJ, I went back the last 60 games. Do you see the kind of improvement, I guess, at least that the numbers do? Sometimes that can just be numbers, but are you guys seeing the jump out of the young hitters that the numbers would say exist over the last 50 to 60 games versus the early part of the season?
Yeah, we are happy with it. The numbers are just a result of a good process. And our process early in the year was a little scattered. We were chasing pitches above the zone, particularly fastballs above the zone. As one guy made the adjustment, then the next guy made the adjustment, and it's a little bit contagious. But the at-bats we took last night in the 9th inning, that's a pretty good pitcher we were facing. I mean, he's 95 to 97. He's got a really good breaking ball, a lot of chase. I think he struck out 45% of right-handed hitters he's faced this year. We were in 2-strike counts. We weren't chasing. We weren't panicked. And that's the type of thing. That's when we know the process is right. The game's slowed down for all of those hitters, and that's why the results have been better. But we got to stay focused on the process. It can come and go. That's part of the game. But knowing that you have the ability to slow the game down and take good at-bats is a big step forward for our hitters.
Is part of your evaluation this year, I know we talk about like just guys you think are starters or guys you think are starting pitchers, but is part of the evaluation the thing we've talked about on the show before, which is deciding which guys you might be willing to move forward with long term, if that means the kind of rookie or young player extension we've seen across the league?
Yeah, that's part of it. You know, I know we've spent time talking about it both internally, and I've addressed it with the media. You know, we're constantly thinking about those things, and then the thing that has to come together, the timing has to be right. There has to be a willing participant on the other side of the table. There are things at this point of the year that will be more in the off season. We've laid the groundwork with the appropriate people as far as knowing that we have interest in discussing it. But during the season, you don't like to have distractions, so we've tabled those until the off season. But you know, that's part of it. You know, you're looking at short term and long term, and long term, you know, we want to be competitive year in, year out, and there's certain players that you know will allow you to do that, and they're the ones that we'll focus on.
Looking at the outfield, I mean, we saw the move the other day with Edward Olivares getting optioned down to AAA. Is this just a situation where right now you guys have quite a few numbers, at least at that outfield spot, and thinking of evaluating, trying to get more of a look at some other guys right now?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Ollie actually was swinging the bat as well as he had all year in the last couple of weeks, and you know, we've seen Ollie get on hot streaks, and it's unfortunate the timing of acquiring Nelson Velasquez and then giving him an opportunity to play and then him performing, you know, is why we made that move. We still like Ollie. He's a young player that's got some thump in his bat, and you know, right-handed, we feel like we need to continue to accumulate right-handed bats. So, you know, the timing of bringing Velasquez up, somebody had to go down, and then when you look at what Blanco's done for us and Samad can do for us, you know, from a speed perspective, coming off the bench, it made more sense for our club right now to send Ollie down. But I don't have any doubts that Ollie will be back. He's a Major League player. He'll be back. This is just sort of a snapshot in time that he'll be in AAA, but we'll look for opportunities to get Ollie back too. But right now, it's a good chance for us to see Velasquez and learn more about him.
JJ, it's training camp, so there's all these stories out here, and I know I'd asked you about something kind of related when we were in spring training the other day. I saw your guy, because you grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan. There was a report that Jalen Hurts works 16 hours a day, like gets to the facility at 5:30 and leaves at 9 at night. How long of a day do you work?
Well, the type of work that I'm doing personally is much different than what any professional athlete's doing. So their work is more important because they serve a fan base, and you know what I'm doing is just behind the scenes and just trying to steer the ship. But it's not surprising. Great players across any sport put those types of hours in because they just have a great desire and will to be excellent. And you know, just having watched that team play and why they had a good year, it's no different than Pat Mahomes and Kelsey and all the other great players across the league. So I'm not too surprised by it.
I feel like working 16 hours a day, at some point...
It's unproductive.
Yeah, at some point I feel like you're almost wearing yourself down too much to where you're almost hurting the process a little bit.
Yeah, you know, the sustainability would be a little bit questionable, but, you know, people know how to adjust.
Real quick, I did want to ask you back to pitching for a second. We did see just another move yesterday, or at least announcement from you guys when it came to Jake Brentz, who's got a rehab assignment, I guess, starting tomorrow. Based on that, I mean, does he have a shot to make it back to the big league club before the end of the season? I felt like if you would have talked about this a couple weeks ago, I would have said, oh, there's probably no way he gets an opportunity back. But is he on track where that could actually happen?
Yeah, he's on a rehab assignment that's going to eat up the next 3 to 4 weeks. But, you know, based on how he's pitching, I mean, the reason we brought him back is we liked the progress he made a couple years ago. And he was starting to look like somebody we could count on out of the bullpen. So, you know, he'll have some season left when his rehab assignment's up. It'll just come down to how well he's throwing, how he's feeling, what's the right thing for him. But generally, when guys are coming off Tommy John, you just like to get them off the mound. You know, there's not a set number of innings. You just want to get them to the end of the season healthy, where they go into the off season with confidence, and then they get a full off season, because those 14 months or so, it's pretty grueling for those guys mentally and physically. So just getting him off the mound on a rehab assignment is a big step. And then depending on where he's at 3-4 weeks from now and where our club's at, there is a chance he could be up. But a lot of it will depend on what happens these next couple weeks.
JJ Picollo, Royals General Manager, Vice President of Baseball Operations. Good to check in with you again. We'll talk in a couple weeks.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
There you go. That is JJ Picollo talking some Royals baseball with him and where things stand with the organization right now. And you asked him at the beginning there, Cody, just about Bobby Witt Jr. right now. And I think it was the member of the Royals PR staff. I think Nick had put it out earlier today, just where Bobby Witt Jr. right now, Nick Capel, where they have his rankings in terms of so many statistical categories.
In all of them.
And in the last 15, okay, so the last 15 games, but since July 28th, first in average in the big leagues, first in hits, second in total bases, second in RBI, second in slug, second in OPS, third. He's tied for third in extra base hits in the last 15 games. So he's been the best player in baseball basically in the last 15 games.
Everybody realizes, right, that Bobby Witt Jr. for like the last 50 games has been a top 5 player in the league. Like he's been Juan Soto. He's been that caliber of player. Look, it's only 50 games.
Yeah.
Lots of players can be great for 50 games. It's just easier to believe that it will last long term with Bobby Witt Jr. because he had superstar expectations and talent level before we even started this thing. So, I mean, when you already have that kind of talent, it's kind of hard to imagine that, again, that's not going to be the case. I can't include yesterday's stat because it's not on Baseball Reference yet, but let me just give you July and August of this year. Bobby Witt Jr., just in the last 2 months, has hit where did it go? No, we give me advanced stats. Okay, never mind. This is a bust.
You're good.
I was trying to give you something, and I'm like, you know what? I'll give it to you at 11.
There you go. You can do that. I did want to update people while we were talking to JJ. Right before JJ Picollo joined us, we mentioned we saw Justyn Ross over in the medical tent. While we were talking to JJ, unfortunately, we did see Justyn Ross go up on a cart. Now, with that, he was in the front of the cart, and he walked to the cart under his own power. Did not need assistance to the cart. So that part is the good news of it. We'll get an update from Andy Reid after practice today, but never want to see that for anybody, and certainly with Justyn Ross's injury history and the story behind his availability so far in his career and now finally getting his first touchdown.
Yeah, it's concerning.
He was going to join us today. Obviously, that's not going to happen anymore, but we were expecting to talk to Justyn today. So hopefully things are right. It looked like they were working his left leg. Now, that's as general as we know. We have no idea. But
I don't want to over-assume when he puts his hands on his head. I'm like,
no.
It could just be because he's sick of his arms.
But they definitely were working the left leg. Whether it's leg, ankle, knee, I have no idea. But they were definitely working the left leg. Hopefully it's something very, very minor for Justyn Ross, but did not like seeing that.
3 wide receivers hurt in practice today.
Yeah.
Smith Morset, Remigio, and Justyn Ross.
Yeah.
They had a lot of depth going into it.
Only one of them we think has a chance to make the team, but still.
Yeah, but we thought Remigio could be a practice squad guy if he wasn't plucked off of this roster to end up on somebody else's 53. And Morset was on, I think he was part of he would be expected to be a practice squad player as well. That's not end of the world stuff. Like with Remigio, maybe you could stash him on the IR, wait a few weeks, buy yourself some time. But obviously, just considering the buzz around Ross, it's not great. Also, it's not great that he was scheduled to be on the show and then immediately got hurt. We used to have a reputation for being a bit of a jinx.
Don't put this on the show, man.
Dude, we used to have that reputation. It's worth bringing up.
It doesn't actually count this go round because he never made it on the show today.
Oh, so if he got hurt tomorrow,
that would be on us.
That would be on us.
But we hadn't even had a chance to talk to him yet.
I am told they will try to get us Tommy Townsend. I can ask about almost hitting that baby with a football.
Okay, yes. So we'll have maybe Tommy Townsend join us. Hopefully Justyn Ross is something minor and he's back tomorrow and we can talk to Justyn tomorrow before we leave camp. But you never know. You never know. Andy's going to talk and give us an update of some sort after practice today. In the meantime, when we look at quarterbacks across the league as we continue our training camp coverage here in St. Joe, and of course it's driven by Max Motors, Max Ford down in Harrisonville, just a couple more days left with the Ford F-150. It's going to be a sad day when we have to return that thing to Max Motors. It's been awesome to drive that. I've told you that the lane assist is one of my favorite features. You're in a lane, and if you drift over a little bit, the steering wheel will vibrate on you and let you know. So it's one of those nice safety features that's included in the Ford F-150, not to mention the CarPlay. I was rolling with Pandora again on the drive up. I just went with that.
What'd you listen to?
Today I had was Morgan Wallen radio, so it's a variety of country. I went with that. I got the truck. I figured I'd go a little country music, you know? It's either that. Sometimes I have the Today's Hits, a little Jack Johnson radio. It just depends on the mood.
Did you always like country, or is this a recent thing? You listen to way more country than I would have assumed 2 years
It's
ago.
more new country stuff. But in the last year and a half, more so because our friends over at 106.5, The Wolf, I've listened to them in the morning driving in sometimes, and I started listening. And then, the Chiefs games are over on our sister station there, and I think it's a combination of things. And then, yeah, it just feels
You're
right.
a country guy now.
Feels right, you know?
You got a dog driving your pickup truck?
Well, I've had the dog for 10
years. But now you have all of it.
I mean,
You
the
got
dog. The dog's not allowed.
country?
The dog's not allowed in the truck. Okay, the dog's not allowed. We're not having the.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, the dog.
I told you I didn't let the kids have any food in the car.
Yeah,
they were allowed in the truck, just not with food.
Yeah, the dog's not allowed in the truck. She shed, so she's not been in the truck. She's not allowed. That's not happening. We're being respectful to the truck.
To our borrowed ride.
Yes, that's right. Someone says you should lift the truck.
It's pretty tall.
It's yeah.
I don't know if it needs to be.
I love sitting up high, as I told you. That's one of my favorite things. All right, let's get to the trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
All right, this one comes actually from the New York Post, Cody. And it doesn't involve a hawk or a snake like yesterday. This has to do with Diet Mountain Dew. When's the last time you had Mountain Dew or something?
Long time. Teenager?
That far?
Drinking
Really?
like Code Red when I was like 18? I don't know.
I've probably had in the last couple of years because I'll be at some place and they might be out of the Dr. Pepper, and I'm just like, I don't like Pepsi, so I'll just go ahead and I'll do the Diet Mountain Dew. Usually regular Mountain Dew. But anyway, this has to do with Florida. We know our new producer, Drew, was living in Florida for a couple of years. This has to do with a Florida woman who doused herself in Diet Mountain Dew. Why?
Okay.
Well, you're asking why. You're not going to – I give you 10 guesses, and you would never guess why she doused herself.
To get rid of lice, like that crunchy granola woman.
I mean, you're not far off. She doused herself in Diet Mountain Dew to erase DNA after killing her roommate.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, she thought –
Yes.
Couldn't just take a shower?
That's Quentin talking, by the way.
Or clean it with like diluted bleach?
A blood-smudged Florida woman suspected of murder accrued additional charges after she asked police for a soda. Then she poured it all over herself in an attempt to scrub forensic evidence from her body. She was charged with tampering with evidence because she poured the Diet Mountain Dew on herself.
Did it?
After quickly, yeah. So firefighters were called to a smoldering home. They extinguished the flames, and they found somebody lying face down in a blood-spattered room. And he had suffered, this gentleman had passed away, had suffered blunt force trauma to the head. So she, the house caught fire. She thought that was going to hide the evidence as well, and obviously not the case.
At least it wasn't Pensacola, guys. It was Daytona, so it's okay.
Is Daytona got her bad rep, Drew? Is that what it is, or what?
To my knowledge, it doesn't. I've been there one time, though, and like every city, there's some sketchy area, but not a bad reputation as far as I'm concerned.
Diet Mountain Dew is what she went to.
I mean, if it worked, it's genius, but...
Well, she got charged with something else, so it didn't work. And they found her cell phone next to the dead guy's body in the home, so she...
Boy, just really bombed
messy,
this whole
messy,
getaway, right?
Very messy. Very messy.
You might as well just take whatever plea deal they're offering now rather than go through the court system, because this is not going to work for you under really any circumstance.
I would like to congratulate this show. You know, we make fun of Florida man a lot on the show, and
Florida
rightfully so. But today we're doing we're making fun of Florida woman. So we are an equal opportunity show. So just congrats to us.
I'm proud of us too, Quinn. That's a good point. Equal opportunists on this show. We don't discriminate based on
anything,
gender,
anything.
Well, I was going to go through the list.
Anything.
That's fine. We can just say
anything.
Well, you know, we're known for we don't discriminate, we don't kink shame. We're a very open show.
We are.
There's no stopping.
The great thing, guys.
Gold's looking at me because I'm saying that.
Yeah.
And there's like all these.
There's a
people
lot of people around us and kids, and
so
I was gonna
heads as I said that.
I was gonna make the comment. If you notice, Cody, you said the word kink very quietly.
Kink. What do you mean? What are they
You
gonna
said
do,
it very
look back?
quietly, just to see if anybody would turn around, and they're all locked in because the Chiefs are doing 11-on-11, and Patrick Mahomes is not currently the quarterback. So. And actually, that was that our guy? No, it wasn't. It wasn't number 6. It was that was Blaine Gabbert. It wasn't Ola Kudon or whatever his name is that threw the pick late. How do you pronounce his name?
I don't remember now. I don't remember now.
That guy.
Don't hold me to that.
That guy. The guy that's not going to make the team. That guy.
It's not even like a knock. It's just like
no. I mean, he knows.
Your job is to
he
get
knows
reps,
even before the interception.
Try to prove to a team that eventually you're worthy of being a
practice
practice
he was
squad
in camp with the
cool.
Steelers last year. He's get some film together. Unfortunately, the film wasn't great.
He had a couple of nice throws.
Yep.
There were just some other mistakes across the board.
Instead, we got Shane Buechele over here.
Should be our backup quarterback Shane Buechele working.
That's right.
I stand by that. By the way, I said that 2 years ago. I might have been a little early on that camp.
Yeah, because Chad Henne helped him win a playoff game this year,
that
man.
didn't help.
We'll see if Blaine Gabbert. Hopefully, Blaine Gabbert doesn't have to. That's the hope. Hopefully, Blaine Gabbert. Real quick, little update on injuries outside of Kansas City. We'll give you an update there. There's a quarterback that may be dealing with another calf injury. We'll tell you who that is coming up next as we continue broadcasting live from Chiefs training camp in St. Joe.
Cody and Gold.
Clear.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. Asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work, Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs Lottery Experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. Call or go to ShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now carry out in the Crossroads.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of two windows with a Good Housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number one in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency. Over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Summer is winding down. Kids are heading back to school. We already got preseason football going on, college football. All that's going to start back up here very, very soon. So you don't want to waste this summer with glasses or contacts holding you back. I've told you guys for quite some time how many years ago I thought I could never get rid of my contacts or glasses. But that all changed when I called up DuraVision and found out that I was a candidate for LASIK. I went in for my free consultation. A couple days later, I went in for my procedure. Took about 16 seconds or so in each eye with the laser, and that was it. And now I wake up and I see every single day. And the reason why I mentioned you don't want another summer to pass you by is because right now at DuraVision, they have their exclusive end-of-summer LASIK savings event going on where you can save up to $1,000 on your procedure. Again, you want to do this before it is too late. You can give them a call at 913-491-3330.
Our guess
even
is
go
that we'll
online
probably
to DuraVision.com and schedule a
early,
virtual
maybe like
consultation. So
11:20,
if you can't fit it,
to get to read stuff based on what time this practice is going to end.
Okay.
It won't be Justyn Ross on the show
Gold
now.
from 610
They're telling us they're gonna try to
Diabetes,
get
high
Tommy
blood
Townsend.
pressure, anxiety.
Okay.
Everyone's on.
That works. I've got the press conference up on the screen, so I'll just let you know when Andy Reid comes on.
Term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search.
30 seconds out.
And a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Win Royals tickets 1 hour prior to first pitch by listening to Vern's On Deck Show, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
Back here on Cody and Gold in St. Joe, Missouri Western State University. A couple days left of practice. Just 2 more shows. I guess 1 more after today. 2 more shows total for us here in St. Joe. 2 more practices after today for the Chiefs. Today's one of the longer practices, and then a short one coming up on Thursday. We're now expected to be joined by Tommy Townsend at some point this hour after practice. Unfortunately, no Justyn Ross, as you guys probably know by now if you've been listening earlier. Justyn Ross did leave practice with an injury of some sort, did get carted up. He was in the front of the cart, walked off on his own, but I don't like seeing that. So no Justyn Ross on the show today. We'll talk to Tommy Townsend probably around 11:30 or so here from Chiefs Training Camp as we're inside the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Of course, you can hit us up on the J. Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. I mentioned before the break, not here in Kansas City, but elsewhere around the league, there's a couple things happening. One, Aaron Rodgers looks like he's fine. He ended up going back out there, but he grabbed his left calf and now appears to be back out there. But that was right before we went to break, something people were hitting on from Jets camp. And then also a fight broke out in Baltimore. They're in a joint practice with the Commanders, Ravens and Commanders.
This is why Andy doesn't do joint practices. They always end in fights.
Mark Andrews body slammed the Commanders defensive back. I'll pull up the video for you, Cody, at least you can see. But that's what caused a little bit of a skirmish between the joint practice there. And so Mark Andrews was upset, got up, and then body slammed the defensive back. And, of course, both teams ended up shoving each other around a little bit.
This is why Andy
I wish
has
never,
ever
done
a joint practice.
He doesn't
he's
believe
never done
it.
them, right?
He doesn't believe in them, yeah. I would love it. And you know how great that would be if you told me they had a joint practice. I guess it'd have to be for a home preseason game. They'd be on the road for a couple days extra, though. So they'd be in Phoenix a few days earlier. But the last preseason game, let's say, then you have Cleveland or somebody like that coming to practice.
Something like that. But I don't know. I'm fine. I honestly get it. Like, I get the idea of just avoiding it because 50% of the time it ends in a fight. Like, legitimately, that often it ends in a fight. Why even do it? I'll tell you this much. I'm just looking for any reason to not end up missing Mahomes-Rodgers again. It happens every year. So it's like, oh, he holds his calf. I'm like, oh, no, not his calf. Nothing serious, I hope. Meanwhile, we haven't heard any update on Joe Burrow's calf. Every time somebody steps to the podium, they're like, it's healing the way it should. You're like, okay, look, this isn't like a riddle that I have to solve in order to find the Ark of the Covenant. Can you just tell me a just generic timeline of the injury?
This coaches don't want to put a date on anything. That's the same reason why we don't know for sure on Kadarius Toney the timeline. No coach wants to say it's 2 weeks, and then when he's not ready in 2 weeks, then everybody freaks out. No, that's the issue. That's why nobody puts weeks on it.
Then say 3, and then if he's back in 2 weeks, great.
Well, then 3 people start panicking. It's all a game. It's all a game. They probably also just don't know in that situation with the calf for Burrow. I bet you they don't really truly know if he's for sure going to be ready week 1. I still believe Burrow's playing week 1 for Cincinnati against Cleveland, and then they get the Ravens week 2.
I'm just looking at a tweet from our new producer, Drew Nixon, who posted says, hey, first day at 6:10.
Yeah, I saw that.
Felt like the first day of school. I didn't see it till this morning. That first photo looks like he should be holding up those boards that kindergartners do that say your favorite food and how old you are.
Quinn and I were literally just talking about the same thing.
What age you are. It's the way you look in the photo,
It definitely is.
It looks like you should be holding that board like when I try to make we don't have those in our house, but plenty of kids that I know do. And it's just like, you're just like, first day, and you're standing next to the school or in front of your front door. That's exactly.
God, the sun was blinding too. My eyes were basically closed.
You're just excited, man. It's okay.
Definitely first day of school vibes.
Definitely.
I mean, he said it too, so it sounded even stronger. Once the tweet said that. That's just like how kids stand. Kids stand with their shoulders just kind of slumped down, like you almost don't want to take the photo. That looks like he almost doesn't want to be.
Who took the photo, Drew?
But
Who took the photo of you?
So this photo actually was taken last week.
Okay.
So it was not taken yesterday. It was my wife.
Okay.
It was my wife.
That makes more sense. I was like, who took the photo yesterday? Okay. That makes a little bit more sense overall.
We were there, and he didn't ask me to. He didn't ask me to take that photo. And, yeah, that didn't look like the outfit he was wearing, so.
I don't remember I didn't pay that much attention. I didn't pay that much attention.
So what? The clothes people are wearing? You and I don't pay attention to each other's clothes anymore. We see each other every day.
Yeah, I had no. I mean,
Drew's new.
Drew could have been
wearing. I saw him in clothes.
Drew could have. The only reason why I would have known it if Drew was wearing a Cincinnati Bengals T-shirt or something, then I would have recognized it. We would give him a hard time throughout the entire show. The day that he ever decides to do that, when it's Cincinnati and Kansas City week at some point in December, it's gonna be.
Just wait till the last week of December, and it'll be fun.
Yeah. I may have to make sure normally we take time off during that stretch. I have to make sure we're here for that week.
You don't want to miss it?
I might have to.
Yeah.
Might have to make sure that actually is going on. Before we get back into the Chiefs, as we're catching the tail end of Chiefs practice, I did want to mention who's coming to town tomorrow, and it has to do with the stadium project for the Royals. The commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, is scheduled to speak tomorrow in Kansas City about the benefits basically downtown baseball has had in other cities, speaking in ways in which new ballparks and the districts surrounding them made an impact on local communities. John Sherman hinted that Rob Manfred was going to come to Kansas City at some point when he did his little town hall deal. So this isn't a huge surprise, just now it's happening. I doubt if you're someone that's on the fence, Rob Manfred's probably not the person you want to really hear from. My guess is, even though Rob Manfred, I actually think he has made some changes here as of late that have been really, really good for the sport. Pitch clock most notably. And I still like the expanded playoffs, especially when we're in Kansas City where we just know consistent success, the extra playoff spots, making it feel like your team has a chance. I'm fine with that. But Rob Manfred's probably not the guy you want to hear about from a new stadium perspective. When he's made comments about the Oakland A's in the past, soon to be Las Vegas, when there's reports on Milwaukee where they're pressuring the state of Wisconsin for $400 million in renovations, or the Brewers are maybe threatening to leave.
Here's the problem.
I don't want that guy coming here and talking about downtown ballparks.
What it feels like is, I know it's supposed to feel like, hey, here's an experienced voice who speaks for Major League Baseball, ready to tell you why this is a good decision. And what it feels like is, here comes the guy with the baseball bat telling you to pay your debt. Pay up. We're doing this. Because what you said is what happened in Wisconsin. He essentially went there to be like, hey, you got to do this. And it's like, you can't come in that strong. Rob Manfred is riding a heater right now. Baseball attendance is up 9.6% this year. It's the highest it's been since the early 2000s. So Manfred is doing good things for baseball. But you can't just come into a city that has some hesitation about how this new stadium project's going to work and then try to be like, do it. You should do it. Because here's the thing. He's still not that likable of a character. I'd rather still hear it from John Sherman, and he's spoken. The commissioner doesn't move the needle for me. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's kind of a nothing deal. I don't think I'm going to make a huge deal about Rob Manfred coming to town unless he starts doing the, like, what if they went somewhere else? You'd be like, easy, don't be saying that stuff, Rob.
I would assume that won't be the tone. I would hope not, because the Royals haven't ever hinted at that. Or that would be a major mistake if the commissioner
It'd be a
all
big
of a sudden,
misstep by Rob Manfred.
If the
and I don't think it's going to be that, so it's probably nothing for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, the people that are against the downtown or Clay County site, whatever, project for the Royals going forward, I don't think Rob Manfred could say anything anyway that's going to convince you to begin with, is my thing. It's like, it's a
He's
PR,
not gonna be the
it
person
seems
who
like
was-
more of a PR thing for Rob Manfred than anything else, to show that he's involved in the process, I guess, in some sort.
Well,
like,
and
I
then
don't
Major League Baseball supports these type of stadium deals.
Yeah, which you and I are both pro.
Sure.
Ballpark downtown or the Clay County side. I more so the downtown site than the Clay County side, which we should get renderings on here at some point in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Rob Manfred probably not the guy that's going to convince anybody. And frankly, I don't think there is anybody at this point anymore that can convince. To me, you kind of know where you're at this point. You're either pro ballpark downtown or Clay County, or you're anti. I don't think you're on the fence anymore.
And I think, I'll tell you the truth, I think there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not for it, but then if it came up to vote in their county, would vote for it. And I know that because by that time, some of this viscera that is built up over this stuff will go away. Because for the most part, we understand why these stadium deals happen and why everybody's resistant to these things and why we needed a new airport, right, Gold? It is just part of, like, cities moving forward. It just is. Manfred, to me, like you said, the biggest problem is he doesn't move the needle one way or the other. I think this is one of those things you agree to if you're John Sherman, because the commissioner of baseball says he wants to come here and tell the people why it's a good idea, the downtown baseball being Kansas City, and why downtown baseball is really cool for baseball and why it's important. But in the end, you and I both know that it's going to sway so few people one way or the other that it kind of just exists, you know? I'm not sure that it moves it one way or the other. He's not wrong. Sherman's not wrong for having him come here. Rob Manfred's not wrong for coming here. It's just not going to change it. The biggest swing they will get in change is when they put out renderings, when they actually put on the ballot the thing that they are asking for, and then they start running positive PR campaign moves in order to do it, right? Second, I told you, Patrick Mahomes records one commercial that says, downtown baseball, vote for it this April. It's going to be amazing, right? It doesn't even matter what he says. It's Patrick Mahomes and he's talking about it. Or the second that they incorporate that this will include money going towards the Chiefs and start using that as part of their – that will move the needle way more than Rob Manfred showing up. But the fact he's going to be here tomorrow, I guess I'll be interested in what he says.
Yeah. Now, you may have heard the horn in the background as practice is basically wrapping up here. Going to do some stretching, and so that means within the next 15 minutes, I would assume, if not less, we should have Tommy Townsend join us. Also, we should hear from Andy Reid, so we'll keep an eye on that, and everybody wants to get an update from Andy today. Again, if you're just joining us, Justyn Ross did leave practice today, one of a couple wide receivers that got hurt, but Justyn Ross was carted up to the Chiefs locker room up here at Missouri Western State University. Now, he was in the front of the cart. He was walking on his own. So
Pete said he looked like maybe he had his shoulder back in.
Yep. And then Smith Marset also was in the same cart as Justyn Ross. So rough day for the wide receivers here at Chiefs training camp. First practice they've had since they were down in New Orleans on Sunday taking on the Saints. They've got practice tomorrow and Thursday. Then they break camp. They go back to KC. And then they head to Arizona on Saturday for preseason game number 2.
They managed to get out of that preseason game with what? Just Nick Jones hurt?
Yeah, he's got a couple broken fingers. He's not at practice, obviously, today.
No, but they'll just tape that up and eventually he'll play.
We don't know if he has to have surgery yet.
Oh,
that's not been clear.
Yeah,
you might be right. Sometimes you don't have to have surgery, but it's not just one finger. I guess multiple fingers were fractured. So you got pretty good there, man.
It's a bummer. No, I would have liked to have Justyn Ross on. I think people were like, you won't say what you've been saying about him. Like, no, I will tell him that we had a rule on this show about bringing him up in the off-season. It was specifically an off-season rule until he could get on the field and we could see something out of it. But then we had also started to admit that we thought he was going to make the roster. So I hope that he's okay. Hope that all the wide receivers are okay. That's part of what makes them deep. Even if some of those guys like Remigio were destined for practice squad players, you'd like having that kind of talent down there to, boost up your depth.
Our training camp coverage brought to you by St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp. Learn more at stjo.org. mo.com. While we're waiting for practice fully to end and for Tommy and Andy Reid to speak, and again, Tommy will join us exclusively here on 610 Sports Radio, there was another sign of a team. We already knew they were all in the NFL, but boy, they continue just to move. I don't know if you could be more all in than the New York Jets. They signed Dalvin Cook
I felt
yesterday.
the way about the Bills maybe last year
Yeah.
once they gave Von Miller all that money, but yeah.
Right, I mean, Dalvin Cook signs, and he gets 1 year, $8.6 million, $7 million guaranteed on the base salary. You can get to 8.6 with incentives. And earlier in the day, Zeke Elliott had signed with the New England Patriots, which is what I think led to Dalvin Cook's deal happening. It's why, if I'm Josh Jacobs, I'm signing that $10.1 million franchise tag now.
Wasn't it kind of interesting that he wanted to be in the AFC East because he wanted to face his brother twice?
Is that what he said?
That was reportedly part of.
I thought he just wanted to be on a team that has a chance to win a ring.
Part of the appeal of the AFC East was that he gets to play his brothers twice.
That's cool. Good for him then. Okay. I thought it was more, hey, the Jets are all in. You want to play with Aaron Rodgers, a guy that you were
but
rivals
he's flirting with Miami. He was flirting with the Patriots. He's flirting with the entire AFC East.
And I'm guessing the Jets were willing to pay more money. Aaron Rodgers restructured his deal so they could add more talent. Again, I know of a guy that does that all the time that gets criticized for it for some odd reason.
Is his name Patrick Mahomes?
I think his name is. Yeah. The guys that want to add rings to their trophy case recognize that sometimes you can be flexible with your contract to give your chance at your shot at another ring, and that's what Aaron Rodgers did. I mean, the Jets are so far all in, man. They know they got a 2-year run here. It's a 2-year run based on the contract. It's 2 years for Rodgers, and they're going for it, and this is all they got. And they're gonna hope in their mind that it leads to a title. I told you I do think they're going to end up being one of the top 4 teams in football on the AFC side this year. But, man, talk about pressure and expectation. If they get off to a rocky start, which I do think is a possibility, by the way. Certainly.
Have you seen their schedule?
Week 1, we went over it with Vinny yesterday. Vinny Pasquantino joined us. They open up with the Buffalo Bills, and then we know they get Kansas City week 4. The Cowboys are in the first 6 weeks of the season as well. Yeah, it's a daunting
Here's
early.
the beginning of their schedule. Week 1, Bills. Week 2, at the Cowboys. Week 3, Patriots, a team Vinny pointed out they haven't beaten since 2015.
That'll
Week
change.
4, Chiefs. Week 5, Broncos. That's fine. Week 6, Eagles. Week 7, Giants, a playoff team from last year. And Week 8, the Chargers. Here's the thing. The problem for them is as much as – and we did our power rankings – if they start slow, they can play themselves out of the AFC playoff hunt in 8 weeks because of how deep the conference is. You start 3-5 instead of 3-3 or 4-4, right? It's just an uphill climb. They're not out of the picture.
Oh, I mean, I think if the Jets are 4-4 out of the gate, I think they're still very
they're
much
firmly in it. But 3-5.
Then again, it depends on what the Bills are doing, right? At that point, it depends on what Buffalo is doing overall.
Play themselves out of the East if that feels like the case. Yeah.
I could see, like, right now, if the Bills are plus 240 or plus 250 to win the AFC East, if they lose week 1, that'll bump up to plus 285 or close to 3-1. There actually might be an opportunity there from a betting perspective where people might start to freak out.
If you're great, the Chiefs' schedule is just as hard as this, generally speaking. If you're a great team, you will win more of these games than you will lose. You'll win 2/3 of your difficult games, and you will still get yourself to 12 or 13 wins. So I don't want to bury them, but they've got a whole lot more challenges than the Chiefs do on taking on that schedule because they're rolling in a new quarterback. They're rolling in a new running back. Obviously, Breece Hall just got activated off the PUP list yesterday.
Yeah. No, they got a top 3, top 5 backfield in football now.
Oh, yeah. Breece Hall comes back at any point and is close to what he was last year. They're a really dangerous backfield and have one of the better wide receiver units in that division because of how deep they go there. So nobody's arguing the talent on that team. They fall flat. This will be one of the bigger disappointments in the NFL in the last 5 or 6 years.
Just a heads up for the guys back here in the studio, Quentin and Drew. Practice wrapped up. Andy's headed towards the media tent, so let us know when you guys have Andy ready. Certainly want to hear from him. We're expected to have Tommy Townsend as well, but if Andy starts before Tommy makes his way over here, we certainly want to make sure we hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, specifically for the injury updates and where things stand with Justyn Ross and what specifically is going on there. And anytime you hear from Andy Reid during training camp, those press conferences are sponsored by Technology Group Solutions, the official IT technology partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. But no, I mean, the Jets they got Hard Knocks, microscopes on them. This is the highest expectation Jets team has had in over a decade, and they're on all these primetime games, and it's New York, so there's going to be overreaction more than any other market. You know, it's one thing.
Correct.
If the Chiefs were to lose their opener, the Lions, there would be panic and overreaction. But in New York, if the Jets beat the Bills, all of a sudden they're going to the Super Bowl. They lose to the Bills. If they lose to the Bills and then they lose to the Cowboys, it's like, oh my gosh,
this whole plan failed.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
Burn it all down. Fire Saleh.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the way that it works. They're going to be one of the most interesting teams to follow all year long, and we know that. In what is I just can't get over, like, if you really put it to paper, when we were doing that power rankings and you're going out to 10, you're like, good God, the AFC is loaded. You're like, well, you have the Ravens 7th? I'm like, look at the other teams, or 6th. You're like, it's deeper than you think. It's not that hard. Like, you had the Chargers 5th or 6th. Not that hard to put them that low on the pecking order once you start realizing just how many good teams there are in the AFC across the board. It starts becoming painfully obvious that that's the case. Now begins the daily process of people waving down fans in order to find out if they'll come over here to get an autograph. Will today
players
be,
for people playing an autograph. I don't know what group was today the autograph. I don't know, defensive backs, I think, maybe? I don't know why. I want to say maybe it's defensive backs today, autographs for fans. But let's go to the podium and hear
Andy
from
Reid, yep.
Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
As far as injuries go, so Mike Edwards' ankle swelled up, foot and ankle.
You guys are off.
X-ray and all that. He just got stepped on. Nick Jones, I mentioned he had a hand fracture. He's at a specialist right now, so we'll see how he does. Witherspoon, we talked about with the toe. That's a toe sprain, great toe sprain. And then today we had a couple of receivers go down. Nick Remigio went down with a shoulder dislocation. Smith Marset went down with a groin. And Jay Ross went down with knee, hamstring. We'll just see what he's being checked out now. Anyways, I had a chance to go back and look at the tape. Some good things, and then there's plenty of stuff that we need to work on. So, but it was good to get the young guys as many reps as we did. Everybody got to play, which is good for evaluation purposes. And like I said, there were some good, and then there were some things that we got to clean up. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
What was the Justyn Ross injury?
It's knee, hamstrings, shin, something down there. We'll just have to see what it is.
Coach, you mentioned after the game, maybe the tempo from your ones wasn't exactly what you wanted. When you went back and watched it, what sort of things did you want to see out of them that maybe you didn't see?
Yeah, so there are no excuses, but we don't game plan for these really. So, but with that, you gotta keep the tempo rolling, and so I wanted it better than what we had it. Again, they presented a better tempo than what we did, and so I expect us to be able to get off the field and continue a drive on the offensive side. So,
one of the things that fans get all worried about is short yardage plays. I know it's preseason. You're probably not going to call your number one short yardage play on a 4th and 1 in the first preseason game. But how much time have you guys spent in this offseason trying to work on things like that? And how do you really practice it until you get into a game?
Yeah, that's what I said after the game. That we're trying something there with the QB sneak that you really can't work on in these practices here. It's but you can in the preseason. So we tried it. We can go back to the drawing board on it. It obviously didn't work and stalled the drive. So, but it's good to get it on tape and to see it.
I was just going to ask about Remigio. What kind of campus he had, and how did you?
Yeah, you know what?
Game?
He had a nice game, and did some really good things, both special teams wise and in the throw game part of it. The catching part. So we'll just see how this thing goes. The shoulder's back in and all that, but we just have to see how he does.
Coach, in your second look back at what James did the other day, how impressed were you, and how much more do you want to see him work with Pat?
Yeah, so he's been working in with Pat in the practices. We were trying to get some of the young guys some reps. We have a pretty good feel for him. He's good. He's a good player. So we got good tape in this offense of him. So there was a little bit more emphasis put on 4 and 8 to get them in the game and get some work with them.
Obviously, you had a couple of new guys out here today. Do you have more of a long-term prognosis with what he's going to have to deal with here?
With who?
Nick Jones.
I don't. I don't have anything more for you. I'll find out today, a little bit more on what direction they're going to go. So with it.
I know it was a small sample size, but your 2 new tackles, have they come out of?
Yeah. I thought they did a nice job. Our pass protection was good with the one offensive line, and they did some good things with the run game, and we just had the stall. You can't do that. So you got to take care of business with that. And then they, with Pat didn't play a whole lot of plays. So.
Based on what you saw in the first game, Coach, what would you like to see more from Deneric Prince?
Yeah, just right now the legs are tired. He's getting a lot of reps. He's kind of battling through himself right now. So he'll pop through it. He just keeps pushing. He'll pop through all this. And then and be able to get his pad level down, eyes up, and go. But he's got some more opportunities here. So I think he'll be all right.
Coach, Nick Bolton entering his third year, coming off of a very good season. What have you seen from him in this camp and maybe even in the first preseason game you like the development of this game?
Yeah, well, I like his leadership. Obviously, he's got a good feel for what we're doing. He's a good football player all the way around. I mean, I don't know what to add to that. I mean, other than he does a nice job. And really, last year I thought he played an all-pro level. He's just, people know who he is now, and he's gonna have to step up, obviously. But he's always been willing to do that.
Do you think there's an underrated aspect to his game, maybe that he doesn't get enough credit for?
Yeah, I think last year helped that, though. I think him coming out, there was enough that you guys wrote about his production and that, which was great. And the people take an eye. He's a quiet guy. He's not outspoken, flamboyant, any of that. He just goes and plays. Same way in college. He did a great job in college. So phenomenal tackler, great feel for the game.
Just quick housekeeping items. One, we know Anthony Witherspoon was corner legs injured. What was the second move to get the roster spot for the two ads he had?
Yeah, we brought in a linebacker and a corner. Yeah.
Was the second move there anybody to place on IR or to make a spot or anything?
Jody Fortson, yeah. Jody's having his shoulder done. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And then, kind of once again the weekly update. Chris, has there been any communication, any movement, any expectation?
No. Great.
All right, that was Andy Reid talking in the media tent there. And, of course, Andy Reid's press conference is sponsored by Technology Group Solutions, the official IT technology partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of injury news there. It sounds like at the very end, Cody, you caught that.
Heavy surgery?
Sounds like Jody Fortson is headed to IR and dealing with shoulder surgery, which we wonder. Remember, there was the Instagram story we brought up earlier in the week, or last week, I guess, and it showed he was in Miami. We thought that was a little weird. He wasn't here. So Jody Fortson can't stay healthy, plain and simple, right? Shoulder surgery for Jody Fortson. Also, Justyn Ross, don't know the injury yet. Knee, hamstring, then Andy added the shin. He doesn't. He
sounds like something lower leg. We're going to go up there and
left
go get
leg.
all the tests.
I think it's the left leg, too.
I think so, too. Pete also said he thought it was left leg, so everybody seems to think that.
Knee, hamstring / shin injury for Justyn Ross, and they're still checking him out. So you're going to have to wait till tomorrow to get any more word on where things are at. But also Smith Marset dealing with a strained groin. And then Remigio, you heard, dealing with the shoulder. They popped it back in, but
sometimes those can be quick healers. Just depends on how bad the separation was.
So a lot of injuries at the wide receiver spot. I don't like how you hear from you hear that's a strained groin and you hear a short answer on the shoulder, but then when it came to Justyn Ross, very little information, and he's still getting checked out. I don't like hearing that.
No, that is concerning.
For a guy that's had some injury history. Let's get a quick break in. When we come back, expected to have Chiefs punter Tommy Townsend join us exclusively here on 610 Sports Radio. He's still getting some work in on his own on the field. So we'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue to talk about what we heard from Andy Reid with some of the injuries. Also, Pete Sweeney going to join us here on 610 Sports Radio.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show.
Clear.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy
Richie James is one of the players on the stand if you care.
the city or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price. Grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Where can you find steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless, and occasionally random stuff in the back? The Foot, who has an extensive line of Blue Demon welding supplies, filler, rods, and wire. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only stocking dealer for Fronius professional welding equipment. The Foot, who is KC's and Topeka's only Fronius authorized service and repair center. The Foot, where can you go to take a Fronius welder for a test drive? The Foot, where can you find Colossus, your friendly neighborhood robot? The Foot, just like Colossus, Metal by the Foot stands tall and ready to help both pro and DIY warriors with their metal needs. For over 35 years, Metal by the Foot has continued to up their game by providing you with the convenience and selection of metals you have come to expect. Discover new and unique quality products to take your project and skills to the next level. Get instant pricing on most items at metalbythefoot.com. That's metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. What's the most important thing men should know about prostate cancer?
I would strongly recommend PSA testing. It's a simple blood test. It's inexpensive, and basically every male over 50 should be having this PSA once a year. Prostate cancer is the second leading cancer killer of men.
And why should they go to KCUC?
We not only treat more prostate cancer than anyone else in this part of the country, we also start with cutting-edge diagnostics who offer the most precise diagnoses of prostate cancer using ultrasounds and MRI. We can offer surgical, medical, and radiation types of treatments. And even for men who require additional therapies, we're able to offer all that at a single site.
Get your PSA level tested by the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Score big this year with your home team, Ag Power. From powerful John Deere tractors plowing through the toughest terrains to mighty zero-turn mowers cutting through grass like a linebacker, Ag Power is your all-star defensive line when it comes to tackling projects. They have a variety of tractor packages designed for properties both big or small. Regardless of the task, you'll always be on the winning team with Ag Power. Visit agpower.com to find the location nearest you. Welcome home, Missouri.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist-recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone.
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools, one bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave.
So just a heads up, because Tommy's still doing a lot of punting work on the field, the PR staff is not going to bring Tommy over.
Don't treat your groin like
no
junk.
go on
Respect it with
any
Gillette
player.
Intimate,
but
the
if you
best a
guys
man can
have
get.
any recorded still from the podium
Pleasant
with
with
anybody
plenty
else.
of sunshine today with a high of 77.
We won't have
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Don't go it alone in your job search.
Okay, Rashee Rice.
Okay, yeah, we'll take Rashee.
Is on the. Let me see. It's either Rashee Rice or.
610 Sports
Look back again.
Line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Stop in now to enjoy the key lime pie concrete.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game. And tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
It's Richie James.
Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
All right, it is the Chiefs Red Half Hour here on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. You already heard from Andy Reid. Again, the update there. Justyn Ross, knee, hamstring, shin injury. We don't have any more information than that. Jody Fortson on the IR now officially with shoulder surgery. Had been dealing with a shoulder injury for quite some time. So that's where things stand on the injury front today. Unfortunately, we will not have Tommy Townsend join us. He's still getting work on the field, doing his own thing. And because of that, he will not be making his way over to the tent. So we will not have a player today from Chiefs camp. It was supposed to be Justyn Ross, and, of course, the injury nullifies that.
You know what? You know what you got to like about Tommy? Had a bad day punting.
Getting extra
on
work.
Sunday. Getting that extra work.
He is. He is.
Making sure he doesn't, miss his opportunity. There's a couple of practices he missed with that ankle, Really set him back. I'm sure Tommy's fine.
Not really
Tommy's
concerned.
No.
Not really concerned.
Because he had one bad punting day? No, I think I'll survive.
We'll talk more.
He's concerned because he's out there getting practice in.
We'll talk more about the 4th and 1 and the short yardage situations with the Chiefs in just a couple minutes. But let's head back up to the media tent. Rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice, who looked good in that.
It's Richie James.
Richie James, not Rashee Rice. I know Rashee Rice, I think, was going to be at the podium at some point
Might
today.
still be.
But let's go to Richie James first. Chiefs wide receiver Richie James had the big catch and also a touchdown on Sunday.
This offense, even though it was just a preseason game.
It felt good. It felt good.
Did you get everything you wanted out of the game?
I kind of was just getting warmed up, wanted to play a little bit more, but you know how that go.
You've played with a few different quarterbacks in the NFL over your years. What is the biggest difference with Mahomes, other than just the obvious of his greatness? Are there little traits or even bigger picture things that you feel like really separate him from some of the other quarterbacks you played with?
They all are great leaders. Obviously Pat has done a good amount more than most of them, but he's just a great leader, great quarterback. Know how to run the show, and obviously he does the job really well.
How do you feel like the chemistry is coming along with Mahomes? You're getting more and more reps, it seems, with him and everything. How is that coming along?
Great. Like you said, getting the opportunity to work with him. He gives you a lot of advice of where he's thinking, where you should be at when he releases the ball, and like you said, he's running the show right now.
How is he as a coach on the field as far as doing exactly that, giving you advice and helping you learn the offense and everything?
You can tell he's been in the system for a while, and he knows where the ball is going to go, pre-snap, and he does a really good job of.
All right, Rashee Rice is the next guy coming to the podium.
This moment, and eyes better be up, hands ready.
It looked like on the ball from playing in the game, you really were able to track it well. What did you feel like that was something that you were good at? How do you work on that to this day?
I tracked it well, so that's something I could do. I made the catch, first down.
All right, that's Richie James. Man, a few words. We had him on the show last week. He was really good. We enjoyed talking to him last week. But
Agreed.
Man, a few words there. He's like, what do you think of tracking the ball? I'm like, I tracked it good enough, basically. I got it. Obviously, I tracked it pretty well. He was impressive. He was the first wide receiver that kind of flashed in the preseason game there on Sunday against New Orleans. Had the long 40-yard catch or so from Blaine Gabbert, and then did get the touchdown as well. And I still think if Tony misses time at all, he's the guy to me that benefits the most. I know we can talk about Sky Moore. Sky Moore is going to be in the slot a lot. I actually think Richie James could get the Kadarius Toney routes if Tony is going to miss any portion of the regular season.
Yeah, and I still think that that's a possibility. I know that they gave us a more optimistic timeline with Brett Veach like a week ago when he said, we kind of expect these guys ready for the start of the season. You're like, okay, yeah, but you're 2.5, 3 weeks away, and no sign of Tony. I'm not saying he has to be on the field now, but it's like once we get that same Chris Jones timeline, once we get like 10 days out from the regular season, if the man's not even on a practice field, even if they're in the game, what is the effectiveness level? Let's say that the first time Kadarius Toney gets on the field is 5 days, 4 days, 3 days before an actual game. Well, then how much can they rely on him in that opening game, Gold? The answer is not very much, but at least he would be in the game. But Richie James, obviously, we said this on yesterday, Richie James had the best day, I think, of the wide receivers you're counting on this year. The guys who are like, hey, I told you, it wouldn't be crazy to be like, hey, I need you to talk me into a way in which Sky Moore has 750 yards. It's a long shot, but we think it's possible. Richie James, 750 yards. MVS, 750. There's so many receivers you could talk into essentially having career years. That would be a career year for MVS, for Tony, for Richie James, and all of them aren't outside of the question. He becomes more important depending on the Tony injury.
No question. Yeah, Richie James is somebody we've said over and over that even if Tony plays more than people believe he'll play this year, I think Richie James will have a career in Kansas City after coming just under 600 yards last year with Daniel Jones and that Giants run-first offense. I think Richie James is going to have north of 700 yards, and I don't think it's out of question that he could be one of the bigger surprises in the wide receiver room this year. Another guy, though, that looked decent in contested catches, that did it a lot in college, had a nice contested catch against the Saints, was Rashee Rice, Chiefs wide receiver out of SMU, and he also was up at the podium just a couple minutes ago, and let's head back there.
I think I played well, for me being able to transition from college to the NFL. Big spotlight, a lot different game feel.
So you played a lot of snaps, but not as many snaps as you probably play in a game. Did they feel different? I mean, were you more tired after a game because it was a professional game, or were you pretty refreshed?
I think I was a lot more fresh than I would be if I was in college.
Nick Bolton came to the podium after him.
Offense as well as
we won't take him today. These will probably be the only.
Not everybody got to play.
Okay.
We would, and it just kind of let us be able to keep our pace and be able to take our time on the sideline.
How nervous were you?
I ain't gonna lie, I was a little nervous just because there's a lot of lights. The first game in the Dome, there's a lot of lights. You just kind of knew that you were the spotlight on the field. Like even my first time running on the field, I knew that everybody seen me run onto the field by myself. So yeah.
Speed of the game, was it what you thought it would be?
Yeah, I think practice is everything we do in practice translates to the game. So the speed we do out here is the same thing we went through in the games.
What was the biggest surprise for you just being in that setting and getting out there? Just the whole thing, what was the biggest surprise to you or biggest takeaway?
I would say not necessarily a surprise, just being able to go against, another team. I'm used to being in college and, knowing exactly who I'm about to go against. But, I mean, in the NFL, you can only really just watch film and try to understand the person that you're going to be able to compete against. But there's a lot of guys I've never seen before on the field that I got to, be in front of.
Manny reads the playbook when newcomers arrive. Just how far along do you feel with that at this point?
I feel very confident with the offensive playbook just because now I got people like Pat, Shane, all the other wide receivers that – Sky, he just got done being in the same place that I'm in, so he's nothing but help for me.
One of the things that Coach Nagy talked about with us last week was for guys it's the verbiage, the long plays. A lot of times you don't huddle after every play in college and things like that. What's that learning curve been like for you just on that part of it, hearing the play, knowing what you have in the play?
Honestly, it's certain stuff that, we say in a long play that only – a little bit of the play really stands out to me. So I just find different ways to, listen to certain words to stand out so that I know exactly what I have to do in my assignment.
But that's been different from college?
Yeah, huddling up's been different.
How often did you huddle?
I didn't huddle one time. Yeah, unless it was victory.
Right.
Yeah.
So then that is a different thing, but the adjustment's been good? It feels right?
Yeah, it's been great. Like I said, I got a lot of people around me that's going to make sure I'm staying up to speed with them. So as long as I'm doing what I got to do off the field, they're going to make sure I'm doing what I got to do on the field.
What do you thought of Nico so far?
Nico? Yeah. Nico Romigio. That's my boy. He been killing it. I mean, for him to go undrafted, hey, I don't really understand why, but he's going to show everybody why he should have been drafted.
You're going from that system, from a no huddle where you get signs and hand signals, all that kind of thing, and now you're getting to play from the quarterback verbally. Is that easier or is that harder?
Honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say it's easier or harder. It's football, and I kind of feel like if you put your all into the football, it's all the same. You just got to try to figure out ways for it to, slow down and be easier for you.
As a rookie and really mixing in with the first team, second team, what has it been like working with Pat Mahomes and trying to get on the same page with him and trying to meet his expectations?
Honestly, like I said, they've been a lot of help, so it hasn't been necessarily hard. Only thing that's been a little challenging is, the defense being able to hide disguises of their defense and then, moving and me having to run my route and be able to adjust to the defense and also know what Pat's thinking. Like, while the defense is adjusting, I'm kind of thinking for the defense and thinking for Pat and myself.
How much better do you feel now? You've been here about a month now, camp wrapping up this week. We talked to you that first week here. Just how much better do you feel? How much more knowledgeable and comfortable do you feel now?
I feel really good. I'm very confident, ready to get this next game going.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so that was Chiefs rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice, who had his first NFL action in preseason, at least on Sunday. And he was talking
about the ones a little bit earlier.
He did. Today, other practices, it's been Justin Watson, MVS, and Sky Moore, first look with the ones. Today, we mentioned this earlier in the show, Rashee Rice got work along with Richie James and MVS as that one group to go when they first started 11-on-11, which was notable. We'll see if that continues this week. He also mentioned about picking up this offense. We know the struggle that it was for Sky Moore to pick it up. He acknowledged it, said last year pre-snap he was still asking questions, and so maybe that impacted him. It feels like Rashee Rice, for whatever reason, has picked this offense up a lot quicker than Sky Moore did, which is a great thing going forward.
Some players just do. There doesn't need to be a good, deep reason.
It just feels like he has a better grasp already of the offense than certainly what Sky did this time a year ago. And you like seeing that. And, again, the contested catch that Rashee Rice had during the preseason game, something he did quite a bit in college as well, as our guy, Chiefs insider from Arrowhead Pride, the editor-in-chief over at Arrowhead Pride, Pete Sweetie, joins us after practice today. We were supposed to have Justyn Ross, of course, today. Join us, Pete. And then he suffered the injury.
Yeah.
What's your vibe on that? Because we heard Andy, knee, he was going through all the body parts. Knee, shin, leg, hamstring. You got Ian Rappaport now saying this one does not appear to be serious. He should be okay. Some good news. I love how he just talked to the media and then five seconds after.
How did he get the scoop so fast?
Rappaport says he should be okay.
Rappaport?
Maybe he's in the trees or something. Yeah,
I
was about to say and come over here and say that I'm glad that you guys came out of that practice healthy because we had a few injuries, especially in the wide receiver room. Good to see from the national newsbreakers that it doesn't appear to be all that serious, but concerning, right? This is a player that has, like Kadarius Toney, who the Chiefs were also relying on this year, has had a lot of trouble staying active and not a great start. Again, glad that it's not serious, but we'll end up seeing what comes of it. Not really completely clear right now exactly what it is. He mentioned every single part of the leg.
Yeah.
We might as well go NHL,
he really
just
did.
NHL and just say lower body at that point, right? But yeah, so it seems like the Chiefs, I guess, are optimistic on Ross. It didn't seem like Amir Smith-Marset was all that serious. We'll see about Nico Remigio, right? We got to be careful.
He'd be a perfect IR stash
because he just had the same thing that happened to Jody Fortson. It appeared to me like the Chiefs medical staff was putting his shoulder back into place as we were watching it. That was confirmed by Andy Reid. But now Jody Fortson's on IR. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe Remigio becomes that IR stash similar to Justyn Ross last year.
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem out of the question. I thought it was important. Rashee Rice was like, he's killing it. I can't believe that guy wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
It's weird with their depth at wide receiver because it seems like you're knocking it. They are deep at wide receiver. Nobody's arguing that.
Right.
But it feels like right now they have like 8 500-yard receivers, and I'm like, are one of you a 900 or 950
No, that's Travis
receiver?
Kelce. Eight 500-yard receivers, that's 4,000. Then you get Kelce for the final 5,000. You're good to go.
Another 50 and 50 season.
It's all done. That's before we even count in Jerick McKinnon.
Right, and Noah Gray. So we're looking at 6,000 yards easy this year.
Record-setting year, MVP. Let's go.
I did see the Noah Gray, and it's probably probably because you and I are high on Noah Gray, but I watched. He didn't get that many snaps, but the one red zone snap, he ran the exact Travis Kelce route that took him down to the 2-yard line before the Ross touchdown. I'm like, yep, that's Travis Kelce's route, which is actually what I want more out of Noah Gray, where he spells Travis Kelce, but they start relying on him to do the same things. Because I think that the previous 2 years, the way they used him was, let's just use him like Noah Gray and get our 300 yards and move on with our life, versus use him as a direct replacement in the offense when you can.
Yeah, and I think you're going to be seeing them be smart about Travis Kelce's snap usage, right? He's not going to be close to the 80 to 100% range forever, and maybe he can come in, and you see how that tight end room develops. I think, and it's obviously not good news, but I think Jody to IR, it's a really good day for Matt Bushman, because I think the Chiefs are keeping 3 tight ends. I think Bell's going to be on this team, but will they keep a 4th? They weren't going to keep a 4th if Jody Fortson was still healthy and could make the team, so maybe Bushman could become another target for you. So, you take Travis Kelce off, and you can still run those 2 and 3 tight end sets. So we'll see. I think the tight end room suddenly got interesting. We'll see how it plays out, but the Chiefs certainly have 2 good pass catchers at the top of it in Kelce and Gray.
One thing you had mentioned with the backfield at the beginning of practice today, I saw your tweet. It was LaMichael Pirine.
That's right.
Getting work with the ones for a little bit. I mean, is that just, hey, it's we're late in camp, or is there something to that?
I think that was real. I think that doesn't mean there was necessarily a changing of the guard where Deneric Prince is suddenly not going to make this team. I still feel that way. He's the kick returner. He didn't have as good of a preseason look that I thought we'd have. I had mentioned on your show here, I thought he'd looked one of the best players, one of the biggest surprises at camp.
Yeah.
And Pirine actually had a better preseason game. You can make that case. So when you're able to do it in the game, you start to get some of those reps that you wouldn't otherwise have. And so I think that you saw that today. He was the second running back to touch the football behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We're still waiting for Isaiah Pacheco to get cleared from that non-contact jersey.
What was your defensive panic rating for the first preseason game?
Low.
You said what I said, which is you would like to see some
three. Oh, after watching it?
Yeah.
Look, I agree. I mean, it is the preseason, but it's funny. I made this take on Sunday Sound Off. Little plug for you, Hal.
There you go.
I made this comment. So at the beginning of the game, the preseason definitely didn't matter. But then Justyn Ross scored a touchdown. It really looked like it mattered. Then Richie James was tracking it down. But wait. Now we get to the end of it. Yeah, the 4th string threw an interception. This game doesn't matter. We were 0-1. We were thinking about it's got to be one or the other, right? So, I think there are portions of the game that you'd like to see some progress. So, for me, it was my take of, man, it couldn't have gone any worse for the first-team defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that was
they
good.
got picked apart.
Doesn't matter that it happened in the preseason game. I think a little, right, as long as they correct it in the next 2 and get ready for the regular season.
Was the biggest positive Felix Anudike-Uzomah?
I think he looked great. I think it was basically the second and third teams on both units, right? We've seen, for example, on offense of Sky Moore and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Justin Watson, but they didn't get a ton of opportunity. But we're talking more about Rashee Rice and Richie James, who I think the Chiefs really wanted to see do that. And on the defensive side of the football, it's like, okay, Malik Herring is another one that I thought Khalif Halassi. Who we'll see about the injury to Nick Jones, but people get banged up, so good to see that there's some defensive back depth. As the Chiefs have been losing some defensive backs this camp.
First time talking to you since you said you wanted back in the Guillotine League.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's a dry seat for you today. We didn't get a player. No sweat. No sweat.
We were supposed to have Justyn Ross. That went poorly.
So that's it for players this camp, right?
Well, we should have one tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who, but somebody.
Pete's acting like he's working with Chiefs PR. You're done with players. done with players for camp. No. Tomorrow we're here.
Oh, wait.
Tomorrow we're here.
I need to ask you something about this because, Cody, you had a very special connection with Chris Jones in the snow cone thing.
I know.
And every day he would come for a snow cone.
There's a cut of him saying, Cody, you're my guy.
You're my guy.
Yeah.
You
Snow
guys
cones.
had a lot of moments last year, and pretty clear here. There is going to be no opportunities for you to
Zero. Our relationship.
No.
How are you holding up? Are you all right
It's
with
tough,
that?
man.
Yeah.
I'd like Chris Jones back.
Right.
Not hanging out with Michael Bay.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. Do you guys know who that is? I don't even know who that is.
He's a really super famous director who mostly anymore does horror
What's
movies.
his favorite, what's the most pertinent movie?
Transformer movies.
Oh, come on. Those are not real movies.
Well, I'm just
Summer
Air,
like
right?
08 summer blockbuster.
He was he was a blockbuster guy. He might have done like The Rock or something.
I did see that photo, and of course I saw the caption, and I just said to myself, this guy looks like a knockoff Owen Wilson. That's what he looked like.
Much older.
Much
older. A little
rougher.
rougher go for Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson, if he did a lot more drinking and drugs in his life.
We're going there? All right, that's fine.
Oh, he did Armageddon. Alex Gold's favorite movie.
Love Armageddon. One of my favorite movies, Pete. Armageddon.
You would hope that.
And
Chris
Pearl
Jones
Harbor. You're a big Michael Bay guy.
Yeah, Michael Bay is all. I'm all about the summer hits.
Armageddon. Can Chris Jones say he doesn't want to miss a thing for once? He's missing everything.
Hey man, the Aerosmith soundtrack in that movie is so good.
Yes.
Aerosmith soundtrack, fantastic. So you won in Guillotine League, though, as Cody was saying. You actually,
I
don't know, man.
I think for all the sweat that I've endured on my shorts this game.
You want back in? Are you going to take it seriously?
Of course I am. Of course. I no longer have a bad influence. I know that Just Drew started today, and he's good to go. And so the bad influence, we won't even name him. He's gone.
I'll send you an invite if you promise to run the team.
I feel like a fresh start is what I need.
Okay. Hear that, listeners? Pete Sweeney's taking one of your potential spots. That's
right.
what he's doing.
Will you give everybody in the league a copy of your book?
You know what? Let's we'll give one to the winner. How about that? I'll give one to the winner.
Just the winner. Just the winner. Okay.
That's second place. I think I still have like 4 copies.
No.
I have mine right on my not mantle, but I don't know, entertainment center.
Yeah.
I had a copy of the book. B, it's right there.
You guys got to get home Zoom studios and put it behind you. That's what I feel like. It's
I've got. I mean, mine's. I have.
He does have a home Zoom studio, and he hasn't put it behind him. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a bunch of other stuff.
Well,
I got to shift
Zoom
around.
is reserved for like the betting stuff.
It's also not a studio. Very loose term here. I mean, basically what happens is it's a corner of my living room that I shift over some chairs and make it look like I actually have an office there. It's not.
Okay.
It looks better on.
Gotta get the 2-bedroom like Pete.
Little peek behind the curtain.
I don't have that Arrowhead Pride money though. You know, I can't be doing that.
I got 2. We got
that 41. That 41 money.
It's a 2 salary.
He's got the 41 money coming in.
2 salary home.
Left and right. The more streams of revenue that you can create, the better off your home will be.
That usually is how it goes. Smart man. Pete Sweeney, our Chiefs insider, the editor-in-chief over at Arrowhead Pride. It sounds like I'm going to have to send an invite for Pete to join. One last chance. If he wins the league too, you know how ridiculous that's going to be.
Pete and I are now 2 fantasy leagues together.
There you go.
He bullied me into joining another one.
Coming up next as we continue broadcasting from St. Joe, of course, our training camp coverage brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. MaxMotors.com providing us our Ford F-150. We'll get to what's trending, and we'll get back into the Royals a little bit. One thing Cody says they have to do this offseason. Next.
Cody and Gold, live from the Chiefs practice
Clear.
this summer. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Hey everybody, this is Andrew Filipponi here, bringing you the parlay of the day, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Week 2 of the preseason, so let's put together a fun parlay with some of the games that are up right now in the FanDuel sportsbook. The Eagles nearly ended the Ravens' preseason winning streak over the weekend. Now they host the Browns on Thursday. I expect more of the regulars to play, take Cleveland even money. The Panthers, who failed to protect Bryce Young, I anticipate smoother sailing against the Giants. Give me Carolina plus 140, and the Bengals are getting 6 points in Atlanta. That's way too many. Bengals, Panthers, Browns parlay pays out better than 8-1. That's it for the parlay of the day. Brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app today and make every moment more with America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus in President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700.
So at 1:15, are you just going to talk about, are you just going to redo a topic we already did because we don't have a player interview?
When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows, and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a Good Housekeeping seal of approval, ranked #1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency. Over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
The health of your home starts at the foundation. Here's James and Josiah.
Hey,
of
Quinn, you got to
American
check your
Topsoil.
mix minus, man, because whatever you said during that, I believe went over the air. So you got to check your mix minus on your guys'
foundation.
Thanks.
If poor drainage is ignored or left unchecked, this can allow water to flow inward toward your foundation, potentially causing dangerous cracks and leaks.
Guys, the message is adding topsoil now can prevent big foundation problems.
That's right. So protect your home and give yourself peace of mind with this easy solution.
You can be confident knowing you'll only pay for the amount of soil you actually need. Call us at American Topsoil, 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, 30 years and 4 generations of great topsoil for landscaping, gardening, and foundation preservation. With locations in Olathe and KC Mo. Nutrient-rich organic topsoil delivered with their power wheelbarrow service right where you need it. Call 913-888-SOIL or online at AmericanTopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service. American Topsoil.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Diamonds Direct is making it easier than ever to design your dream ring at your dream payment. Announcing all new aggressive financing options up to 60 months. These new creative plans allow you to pick your payment so you don't have to compromise on that engagement ring. We know that just like that ideal engagement ring, one size doesn't fit all. You want choices, alternatives, options, and as always, we want to empower you every step of the way. Diamonds Direct's multitude of finance options now allow you to spread your payments up to 5 years. Pay nothing down or pay a lot down. You decide. Get a $400 a month payment or a $200 a month payment. It's your choice. So you can get the most beautiful engagement ring and have money left over for other fun things like a tropical honeymoon or decorating the house. And by the way, it's not just for engagement rings. You can use these flexible financing options for wedding bands, designer jewelry, gifts for any occasions. At Diamonds Direct, we're always finding ways to help you make your money go farther. Your love, our passion. Get directions, showroom hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Dispatch, this is Mindy at Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Coming to terms with a dying AC unit is tough. If you need to replace your AC, visit missionphc.com to schedule your free estimate. Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. License 202909. Terms and conditions apply.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
AutoZone is more than a parts store. It's where we help you solve problems like, sorry I'm late, my battery died. And
I need a jump again.
At America's #1 battery destination, you can find the right battery at the right price with options starting at only $89.99. And we offer free battery testing and charging whenever you need it. Get the parts and help you need to get the job done right at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means... Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer.
Go ahead.
Did I read that right? Discover automatically doubles all your cash back?
Yeah, that's what the script says.
So if I get a Discover card right now, I can earn twice the cash back.
Apparently. Wait! Unlimited first-year cash back match. Only from Discover. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Last year, Pete Sweeney was accused of cheating in the hot dog derby. This year, he's been disqualified for competing, so come join us for 610 Day at the K and watch the drama unfold on Tuesday, August 29th. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending here in St. Joe at Chiefs camp, unfortunately, has to do with a lot of injuries with the wide receivers in particular. Justyn Ross left today's practice. Andy Reid saying it's something with the left leg, or something with his leg, I should say. Knee, he mentioned hamstring, he mentioned shin. We don't know, although Ian Rappaport did tweet right after Andy spoke that
texting the medical trainer in the building?
Had to have been. I mean, Andy was 30 seconds away from the podium, and Rappaport already tweeted something. They don't believe it's serious, according to Ian Rappaport, so that's good news.
Let's hope he's right.
Nico Remillo, shoulder injury. Looked like maybe had to be popped back in. That's where things stand. Jody Fordson officially on IR now. Had shoulder surgery, hasn't practiced in a couple of weeks. That's where things are at on the injury front. Still no L'Jarius Sneed at practice today. Obviously no Kadarius Toney.
Nick Jones left the game yesterday. Obviously he wasn't, or on Sunday he wasn't there either.
And Mike Edwards today, dealing with an ankle injury. So guy's banged up.
Yeah.
A couple days left at camp.
Well, especially at the wide receiver spot. But none, at least at the moment. We don't know which ones are serious yet. Sometimes those separated shoulders are a long-term injury. Sometimes they just pop back in and you're fine in a couple of weeks. So we'll see which way it goes. Next up on What's Trending, the Colts have officially named their starting quarterback. It is Anthony Richardson. We already know that Bryce Young has been named the starter in Carolina, and C.J. Stroud has now made back-to-back, or will make back-to-back starts for them. So at the point right now, it looks like the top three drafted quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft will be starting for their teams day one, right? That's the way it's headed.
That's what you should do. I mean, Anthony Richardson is a little bit of a project. Get him time right away. He's only going to get better. Throw him in the fire a little bit. Don't have Gardner Minshew out there. No
I think
reason.
it'd be a lot different if you had like an Alex Smith guy, but Gardner Minshew, don't let Gardner Minshew stand in the way of the guy you took in the top 10 of the NFL draft. You know, draw a line at the quality of quarterback before you wait on somebody. When it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Jordan Love, no one's saying anything. When it's Gardner Minshew and who the hell was who was in Carolina that Bryce Young was fighting it out for?
Andy Dalton's there.
Andy Dalton, yeah. When it's Andy Dalton, don't let Andy Dalton stand in the way, okay? Just draw the line there.
Next up on What's Trending, really sad news out of the NFL. Former running back Alex Collins passing away at the age of just 28 years old. Former Raven, former Seahawk. He was killed in a motorcycle accident Sunday evening. He played 5 years in the NFL. Really terrible news that came out late last night around a former NFL running back. You may have remembered him a little bit from he would do some touchdown dances. He was really into like Irish dancing, and so that was kind of his thing. And some of the videos went viral at the time, and obviously terrible news, just 28 years old.
Next up on What's Trending, Missouri lands a big 5-star recruit out of Lee Summit. That's defensive ends Williams Nwaneri. I can't remember if I remember how it was pronounced. That's obviously NIL in Missouri is going to change a little bit. There's a way to pay him. But more importantly, Missouri football hasn't had this kind of recruit in a little while. 5-star recruit who had Alabama and Georgia and everybody else on the hook for him. That's a massive get for Missouri. I think we'll talk more about this a little bit later on the show, but still, I mean, that's the biggest recruit of Drinkowitz's career for a guy who desperately needs to start putting on the field what he says out of his mouth.
Well, that and keeping in-state talent in-state. You know, you have to be able to do that.
We've talked about that with Missouri basketball and football forever.
That's what, to me, was so big about yesterday. But you're right. I mean, it's you have to start having the wins rack up if you're Eli Drinkowitz as well. And so that's a huge get. You obviously saw the video from Missouri that they put out, the coaching staff going nuts with the announcement yesterday. Next up on What's Trending, we know Dalvin Cook is now a member of the New York Jets. He signed a one-year deal worth up to $8.6 million. Looks like about $7 million in base salary. They also activated a guy that was in line maybe to win Rookie of the Year prior to an injury for the Jets. That's running back Breece Hall. He's now been activated from the PUP list. So if he plays early in the season, maybe he has to wait a little bit. We'll see. Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, one of the top 3-5 backfields in football for the Jets, who are so far towards all in, pushing the chips forward, that you can't really be more all in than the New York Jets are with everything they've done this offseason. Aaron Rodgers, of course, the biggest news and reason for that. But add Dalvin Cook, who 1,000-yard back a season ago, and I still think has plenty left there. And he goes to a team that has a chance to be one of the top teams in the AFC.
I mean, they've got one of the better backfields and one of the best – they have one of the best rosters in the NFL. But sometimes I always wonder, like, I think in the NBA you can just, like, throw 9 talented people together in a room who've never played before and it just works. The NFL, I don't know. It's like some new running back, some new wide receiver, new quarterback. The defense is all the same from last year. And it's like, we're just going to throw this all together and it'll work. And I'm like, we'll see. They have a really difficult schedule. They are the most, like, outside of Kansas City, they are the most fascinating team to follow in the NFL this year because I want to know how it goes. As a reminder, by the way, we are working on something with our guy Vinny Pasquantino for that Chiefs-Jets game. You know, he's a big Jets guy, so we're going to work on something.
Huge Jets fan. He has season tickets for the Jets, and he was in studio with us yesterday, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have something fun to announce around that Chiefs-Jets Sunday night football game, which will take place up in New York, or I guess New Jersey technically. That is what's trending. Here on Cody and Gold, our Chiefs training camp coverage on 610, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drink, scenic views. We'll get back into this defense and all the talk about being a top 10 defense. What actually has to happen for that to be the case? We'll get back there here in about 8 minutes or so. But earlier we did have JJ Picollo, the general manager of the Royals, join us. You'll hear that conversation in full coming up around 1:30 or so. But you were thinking about this offseason because now Brady Singer's rolling again, and so you feel great about maybe where he slots into the rotation, or is he someone that you can actually move this offseason that doesn't involve spending money in free agency?
So it is time to just bite the bullet and take a leap of faith. I know the Royals aren't good. I understand their record. Vinny Pasquantino was on the show yesterday. He said he understands their record. I get where they are. I'm not trying to, like, sell you a false bill of goods or tell you they're going to win 115 games next year. But if you go back the last 60 games of the regular season, 80 almost in most cases, if you go back 2/3 of this season, you will find out that the Royals have 7 above-average hitters, 3 well above average hitters, and 1 guy who's playing like a damn star in Bobby Witt Jr. I told you earlier I'd pull up the stats. Since, by the way, the 1st of July of the last 2 months, actually I went back further than that, last 2 months, Bobby's hitting .340 with a .390 on base and 1,000 OPS. He's playing like a star. So if all of the hitters are going to come together at once, and you're seeing signs of life from Cole Reagans, Brady Singer seems to have regulated where he is, well, then there's one very simple solution. It is time to just bite the bullet, spend on some pitching, and hope that it all comes together. Just assume that the hitting is ready by the start of next season and take the risk. It might not work. I'll be honest. They might not be ready, and it might be a year too soon. But they're showing you enough that you have to just do it. You have to just accept this risk and go for this chance. Because the hitters are showing you enough, Gold, that it could all click for them. Michael Garcia. We know Vinny's not even in this order right now. Massey has been so much better the last 60 games. Drew, they have plenty of hopeful offensive players, some of which have done this now for a long enough period of time you can have belief. You got to just take the risk. You got to just take the risk and try to fill out this rotation by spending. Very simple. Just spend money. That's it. I know that sounds overly complicated.
Yeah, look.
It might be a waste of money.
They
I don't know, but you got to try.
Are going to have to spend some money this offseason. There's no doubt. And I think they will, by the way. But when we're specifically saying go spend it on starting pitching, we know what that usually looks like.
I know what it costs.
Right?
I know the risks.
And so are you getting, they've spent money in the past on, the Mike Miners of the world or this past offseason on Jordan Lyles on a 2-year deal where he's making like $8 million a year.
No, I'm talking about like an $80 million, $90 million
to go get that kind of pitcher that could be the front end of your rotation. You're going to pay the bad team tax as well.
Fine.
And is that player still willing to come here? I mean, I think that's a big if. Right now, we'll see with the opt-outs. Right now, the starting pitching free agency, it's not great in free agency. I know Vern joined us earlier in the week or last week as well, and we talked about that. And he said there's some guys that are going to opt out, so maybe the free agent market will look better than what it does right now. There's not a ton of names out there that I think are realistic currently in free agency. I still think if you want a front-end rotation guy, Cody, it involves packaging. Maybe it takes away Brady Singer, but it involves packaging a Melendez and others. Heck, we obviously don't want to see this happen, but Vinny Pasquantino's name could be involved in some potential trade scenarios in the offseason as well. But I think that's how you're going to most likely go find a true front-end rotation guy, more so than going out and spending $90 million and getting someone that's an aging veteran that doesn't really want to be here, but you offered him $15 million more than everybody else, so he said yes.
I know that sounds – and I get it. This is one of the few times, Gold, that I'm like, you just got to – this is a take the risk, put some money out there, and see the return. Because right now, they don't need to spend on a position player this offseason. They can if they want, but they have absolutely no need to do it. Their lineup right now will be Bobby Witt Jr. hitting leadoff, Michael Garcia hitting second, Vinny Pasquantino hitting third. MJ will still be in the order. Right now, Salvador Perez is still on the team. That's 5. Massey has now shown you enough that you deserve to keep going down that road. You know that they've got 4 or 5 outfielders that have shown promise. Fermin, it doesn't matter. Their list of players is long enough now that you have to prove to them that you're serious. Prove to all these – to me, it's about that. It's about proving to these young position players that we believe in you. Yeah. And we're going to hold on. And I get it. I'm still at – like that big trade might still be on the horizon, and they're telling you they're 2 years away. But the young hitters lately have shown you enough that if you want to, you can't just – how about this? Don't stand pat.
I don't think
that's
they're going to do that.
Worst version.
And I actually
that's
think
the worst version of the story.
And I actually do feel good that they're not going to just stand pat this offseason, whether it is trade. I mean, you're going through the order there, and I understand why, but, like, there's a very good chance Salvi's not here. And so what do you get back in return? Are you packaging Salvi to get pitching with another player? Is MJ Melendez on this team next year because you didn't trade him? I don't know the answer to that. So there's a couple of those guys that will maybe not even be part of the plan, but maybe it helps bring back pitching as well. And you're right. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. not worried about. I think we've seen enough there. But some of these other guys, it's one thing to play baseball in August and September when everybody's checked out and we're talking Chiefs football and fans are thinking football season. In April and May, when people are paying attention and there's more pressure, that's what I think people want to see. Want to see this kind of production in April and May when there's actual pressure on the team. I'm not saying that I would rather see them all stink right now. No, it's great to see some of the progress with individual players.
And we can't just lump this into September because they've been playing good since May. May. For a lot of these players, it's May.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
They were still out of the mix by May, but not all the players. I'm not saying every single one here. I've given you Brady Singer, obviously, as an example, is a guy who has played well since May. And
Brady and Bobby, I'll give you since mid-May. Other than that, I think that's probably being a little too optimistic about what we've seen from the team. This August-September stuff typically happens. I told you it's more about the individual performances, not the wins and losses at this point because it's been a long time ago. But I think you would recognize there's a difference between playing in April when people are expecting and there's pressure and paying attention, and a difference when you're playing in August, or in this case, this season, hell, June, because the season was so far gone and lost for most fans. But I think they got to be transactional in the offseason. I believe they will. And that, to me, is how you actually go find pitching. I don't believe just throwing a ton of money in free agency at starting pitching is actually the path.
I think that they deserve that chance. I think that the young – and I get it. I'm not saying they're all superstars since then. I pulled up Michael Massey's number since May. A player that probably in May or so we were talking about whether or not he needed to be sent back down or those things that were going on there. Since then, he's got a .313 on-base percentage, a .750 OPS, and a 90 essentially – by the way, this is not an advanced stat you care about, but the stat that would tell you where he is an overall player, he's a league average player. And so he's not a star since May, but he's not a bad player since May either. He is a capable, very average big leaguer during that time. And if you're going to have all these guys together at least showing you signs of life, commit. Because what happened the last time is like they just kept waiting on these young players to come around, and none of them were really coming around. So they got stuck in this realm of, oh, we have Dozier and Witt. Nobody really rose to the top other than Witt had some good years. And they just – that's Whit Merrifield, sorry. With Bobby Witt now, it's
I got you. I knew you were talking about.
But when you start watching the rise, it's like they just kind of hung on, and then they tried to do these little small deals for the pitching, like all these young pitchers will come up. Well, they didn't. Bad news is for you. All the guys you drafted, they're not all going to work out together. You got Singer and Reagan's in your rotation right now for next year. I assume Jordan Lyles is your fifth. And I get it. You can't spend big money on both, but you got to put some money into this to find out if that's part of the solution. Because the hitting is not the thing holding you back right now. It was in April, and it was probably halfway through May. But since around that time, they are a league average offense. So assume they're young players who will get better, who will not be better than league average because they're young and talented, and will have a middle-of-the-order bat back in Vinny Pasquantino post his surgery, and commit to actually spending on the pitching for this team.
everybody's view of what the actual spending will be different to what satisfies certain people, right? It's to me, I've told you all along, and I think you agree for the most part. It's not a dollar amount for me that actually matters. I know you're not saying a specific dollar amount either, but don't spend money just to spend money either. I mean, I think sometimes we want them to spend money so bad, and I think they need to as well.
Yeah.
We want them to spend money so bad
You'll take
that
anybody?
we're just like,
No.
well, they spent $80 million. Great job. No, it's got to be the right player that makes sense as well. Like, it's not as simple as just like go get a pitcher and spend $80 million. Like, we just say that like no big deal. Who the hell are you?
I
actually?
still want them to get it right, but I figured that
It's
that
not
was
as
unspoken.
It's just not as. I mean, sometimes we just act like, hey, they got to go spend $80 million. Well, do they? Can I get the same thing for 60, or do I have to spend 90? I don't know.
2 years ago, they could have gotten Jake Odorizzi for 20. I'm not saying because here this offseason, the money they spent on 2/3 they got right. They got 2/3 right. They got a good return for Aroldis Chapman. They spent money on him.
Yeah, and Yarbrough.
And Yarbrough, and they got a nice return for both of those players, and I'm cool. No problem. We're good here. But they spent money on Lyles, and it didn't work. I don't expect every free agent signing to just be gangbusters, so we're fine.
I mean, it's so funny we say Lyles didn't work, but in a weird way, I feel like they knew what they were getting. Like if you look at his career track record, he goes and signs with bad teams that just need people to eat innings.
Okay, well, I don't want that signing under any circumstances.
but I'm just saying that's what they knew what they were getting when they signed Jordan Lyles.
Yeah,
an innings eater, and he's been that.
I know, but you always tell yourself it'll be a little better with you, dude. It's like the guy who
his
cheated on
his start was terrible.
He won't cheat on me, man. I mean, you always assume that it will go smoother than that. I guess I should pull up his. I wonder if since May 1st he's been around his career average of a 5.19.
Does he pitch tonight? When's his next outing?
We need a.
Remember, he's got to get to 6, and he needs to win out almost. Oh, he is pitching tonight.
Ooh. Well, maybe
Jordan
Lyles.
Lyles win. He's got 3 wins. We need him to get to 6 in order to get the bottle of
So
Dom.
he needs to win tonight.
We need 3 wins. It's August 15th. He's got what? We got 6 more outings.
Yeah.
7 more from him, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
3 more wins. Come on.
Look, I'm rooting for it.
He should have had one. That wasn't his fault the last time out.
Did Vern tell you what he thinks should happen with the bottle of Dom?
No.
We should discuss as a show.
Oh, let me hear.
So I was on with Vern during the last Jordan Lyles start. He's like, I'm guessing you're not going to go with Lyles for the win. I'm like, nah. I was like, I got some other bets I like. I bet on what the very first pitch was going to be, whether it was going to be a strike or a ball.
Oh, what a just sucker bet, man. Did
But
you
I
win
won
it?
it.
Yeah, okay.
What are you talking about?
It's still a sucker bet.
You know how much? Do you know how much research I did for that one stupid bet?
You did the bet on whether it's a strike for the very first pitch of the game.
Yes, but I looked up the pitcher's first strike percentage, in the games he starts for his career and for the year. It's not a sucker bet if I felt like I had good. Every bet's not a sucker bet just because most of the time they are. They just want you to bet to bet. I did.
It's no different than the coin. It's only a little bit better than the coin toss bet. Coin toss is literally a 50-50 bet. It's a terrible bet to make. Yours at least wasn't that bad. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't be betting first pitch of inning bets all the time. That's all I'm saying.
No, I just did it the one time, and I won that one, so I feel good. But he said
they got you now. That's what they love to hear.
He thinks that's the first time I'd ever bet that way. Well, maybe a second. He thinks that if Jordan Lyles wins the 6 games and I have to buy the bottle of Dom, that I do buy the bottle of Dom for the show, but that I'm not allowed a sip of it. That I have to just sit back and watch
you were
everyone
against it.
else.
It's true. You were
I
against
wasn't
the
against
bet.
it. Go back to the beginning. I said I was rooting for Jordan Lyles. I was willing to stand behind it.
It was because I think I said, he's going to – I think he's going to get hot. I think I said he's going to win 2 or 3 in a row. He didn't. But then you're like, all right, what's a number? What's the number you think he can get to? And I think I said 6.
I said to celebrate.
And you said, all right, if he gets to 6, I'll buy a bottle of Dom. I think that's how the conversation went. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 more wins, Jordan.
We can get there, man. I don't know that I don't get to drink any. That kind of stinks. Can I just have a little bit? I'll have less than everyone else.
Okay. That's fine.
Well, I've only had it twice in my life. I might as well make it a third if I spend the money on the bottle.
I've never had Dom. I mean, it's just champagne, but I've never had
What's
Dom.
the nicest?
I'm not a big champagne drinker, so I mean, I just New Year's Eve and a few other events. That's about it. I don't drink champagne on the. Do you drink your champagne on a regular basis?
No. It's literally
most of the time I have champagne. It's probably cheap
mimosas.
Stuff. Yeah, as I say, they just use it in the.
It's probably Cooks.
Yeah,
it's some mimosas.
Yeah, I don't know if there's such thing as well champagne, but basically yes.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's like $6 a bottle. I've had nicer champagne a couple of other times, like Yellow Label, Veuve Clicquot, or what. I've had a couple of those over the years. But that's pretty. I would say once a year, maybe once every couple of years. I don't know. I do have a good random question today. It goes back to Cody's personal life advice.
Oh boy, we'll get to that.
But it's something that actually happened. So Well, I thought about discussing it here, but I'm like, nah, I need more time. 4 minutes wasn't going to uncover what was left in my mailbox yesterday.
Oh,
it
boy.
needs to be discussed.
At work?
No.
Okay. All right. We'll find out in
At
about
my
20
home.
minutes for the random question of the day. We're live in the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Up next, we get right back into the Chiefs. A lot of talk from the players and the coaching staff about being a top 10 defense. But what does that actually look like? We'll give you the 3 things that have to happen for that to exist next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. Asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work. Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
When you get your home internet from Big Cable, you'll go through the 5 stages of grief over your bill. There's denial.
Okay, so my introductory rate is over, but surely they won't raise the price.
Anger.
They've raised it.
Even bargaining.
Maybe if I complain, they'll give me a discount.
And sure, you could stick around for depression and acceptance to kick in. Or you can switch to T-Mobile. With T-Mobile 5G home internet, you can say goodbye to the grief of exploding bills. Because with our price lock guarantee, we won't raise your rate for internet ever. And it's just $50 a month with auto pay and eligible payment method. Plus, setup only takes 15 minutes. Get T-Mobile 5G home internet for just $50 a month. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/5G internet.
Price lock exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Qualifying credit required. Regulatory fees included in $50 price for qualified accounts, plus $5 per month without auto pay. Debit or bank account required.
The baseball season is heading into the backstretch. Get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Go to FanDuel.com/610Bob to join today. Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/610Bob to sign up. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball and 610 Sports Radio. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs Lottery Experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail, the ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
Back in St. Joe, it's Cody and Gold alongside Chiefs practice field right here. Emptied out about an hour or so ago. Long practice today. Just 2 more practices left for Chiefs training camp before they head back to Kansas City and they break camp and get that much closer to the start of the NFL season. Our training camp coverage is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. We'll get to that random question of the day you were teasing a little bit here in about 10 minutes or so. You can, of course, hit us up on the Jay's Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. We've heard from Nick Bolton, and we've heard from Trent McDuffie. We've heard from Steve Spagnuolo since camp started, talking about goals and expectations, getting to a top 10 defense in football. And they went into some more of the analytic stuff of what that could look like other than just points per game. So let's say they are a top 10 defense, which I'll be honest, I don't think they will get there. I think they'll be better than a year
15th?
ago. Well, they were 16th in points per game last year or so. I think they can be 12 to 14 defense.
So a slight improvement, but not significant.
Top 10, I don't think they get there. But what would that take? I think there's 3 things that it takes to get there. Number one, it seems pretty obvious. They were second in the league in sacks last year. They don't have to be second, but they got to be in that top 5 to 7 range again.
They can't fall below 10 for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think they need to be in the top 5 or 7. They were number 2 in sacks last year, and they still weren't a top 10 defense. So I think you need to be 5 to 7 in sacks. I think if you look at their takeaways per game, they were 19th in the league.
Can't believe that high.
That's got to bump up closer to the top 10 range. Really, you probably need to be around 10 or 11 for that. And then the last one is why I think if you look at the secondary, as deep as it appears to be, although we'll see about Snead's injury, who's still not practicing with the knee swelling, I think Justin Reed has to be an all-pro. Play like an all-pro and be on that level and improve and be the type of player that we saw year one Tyrann Mathieu be in Kansas City. I think he needs to develop into that type of player for them to become a top 10. And if you're listening to all three of those and you're saying, oh, come on, he's not going to be an all-pro, well, then that's my point. I think it's very difficult for me to see them getting to a top 10 defense without him being that, because Chris Jones, he's going to eventually show up. I don't think he's going to have 15.5 sacks again this year. I think there's some things that are going to improve. There's some things that'll dwindle.
But yeah, probably not that number. If I go back through, so at no point have they been a top 10 defense under Spags for an entire season, which is funny because with Bob Sutton they were like 3 different times. But they also have played like a top 10 defense for stretches under Spags every single time.
Sometimes.
So I'm not so sure when we reevaluate this that the single biggest thing they need to do is, not start slow. Actually come out of the gates and do this. And there's no easier year, in my opinion, to do this. You are returning every single member of what is one of the deeper secondaries in the league, assuming Snead gets to play week 1. Snead, McDuffie, Reed, Watson, Williams, they're all back. The whole safety crew, everyone's back. And where you added some safety depth in addition to it. Brian Cook was here last year. Everyone should be more comfortable. Everyone should be happy. Linebackers, you got better. You're returning the 2 most important linebackers of your team last year, and Willie Gay and Nick Bolton, and you added Drew Tranquill, so you got deeper there. On the defensive line is really the challenge to the starting slow camp, because if Chris Jones doesn't show up here pretty soon, I think he could start slow, and they are trying to replace 12 sacks from last year. Where and how are they going to get those numbers? Okay, slight uptick from Karlaftis. Maybe that's some. Where's the rest coming? Is Anyudike Uzama good for 4? What can a Menahue get after he comes back? Who's replacing Clark in the early going? That's where the questions remain. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility to get top 10. But they're going to need, like you mentioned, Justin Reed. But I think they're going to need more. I think that maybe the most important player to take a step forward this year for them is Karlaftis. Imagine if Chris Jones comes back late and he's not in game shape, and it's where you're going to get the pressures. It's got to be him. Right away, it's got to be Karlaftis. He's the most important take-a-leap player for them. Because if Trent McDuffie was the exact same player he was Week 17 last year, I'm good. Hell, Karlaftis almost for the final 4 weeks of the season. You just lock that back in. But you need him to do it from day one. No more slow starts. And honestly, there's no more excuses. Not a bunch of turnover. Just on the defensive line. You've made those choices, and they were all like 5 sack guys or 3 sack guys or whatever. Just start well.
Last year when we were at camp, and one of the first days of camp, we were talking about Spags' comment. And he admitted that it could take, I think he said, 6 or 7 weeks last year.
Yeah.
For the defense.
It was weird when he pretty much said that.
Because of how young they were, communication and all of that. Well, to your point, a lot of those guys got playing time last year and were key contributors. So you shouldn't have the miscommunication issues early on in the season. You should be able to get off to a quicker start. So I'm with you there.
I do.
But top 10's a tall order, I think, for this defensive unit. A lot would have to go right. But here's the thing. When you have Patrick Mahomes, if they do improve and they are what I'm saying and they're only 12 or 14, Cody, that's a great thing as well. All of a sudden Mahomes is a top 12 or 14 defense. That plays absolutely.
Especially if it's from week 1. I think here's where I feel like we should be careful about not grading on a curve. I know you're like, come on, man, you're already putting caveats on top 10. Okay, at the end of the year, it might say 15th in points per game. But just hear me out. Of the top offenses last year, they will face the number 2 scoring offense from last year, the number 3 scoring offense from last year, the number 5 scoring offense from last year, the number 7 scoring offense from last year, the number 9 scoring offense, the number 11. They will face every top offense from a season ago. All of them. Philly, Buffalo, Dallas, or not Dallas. Dallas is on their schedule.
No.
So Philly, Buffalo, Detroit, Cincinnati, Minnesota. They're 8th.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, 9. Like Miami, 11. The Chargers, 12th. And they should be better on offense. It's like 8 of the top, 12 offenses from last year? 9 because you'll play the Chargers twice. And that's not including anybody else who might improve. They're going to have a gauntlet. And everybody in the AFC is going to have a gauntlet to the point that if you are the 15th ranked points per game defense in the AFC, that might mean you are actually a top 10 defense. We just have to look at it slightly differently because of the conference you play in versus everyone who gets to play in 9-6 games against the Commanders for the W.
Yeah, I get the point. I get the point. I think there's probably some truth to that based off of competition. I don't know if it's 5 spots better, but yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, because if that's the case, then we can if we do that, we can play that game with a lot of different things. They're like, well, technically they're this, technically they're that. Like, you are what you are. But I get what you're saying. You're right. The quarterbacks they're going to face are because of the really imbalance quarterback AFC NFC. You're as an AFC team, period. Let alone when you're the Chiefs and you're playing first-place schedules every single year. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I get what you're saying.
Hold that same standard for everyone in the AFC, in fairness. This isn't just a Chiefs-specific problem. Joe Burrow is also going to have to face Herbert and Mahomes and Tua. And, he's going to have to face, not Tua, but Rodgers, right? They're all going to have to face these guys, too. Rodgers is going to have to face Allen twice. Allen's going to have to face Rodgers twice. The Miami team, they ended up finishing 11th in offense. They were, for a while, the
number 2, number 3 offensive
football.
football.
I mean, they were one of the highest scoring offenses in the NFL until Tua got hurt.
Yeah, first 6 weeks of the season. And that's the big mystery with Miami.
Yeah, I don't know where
is
they're
that
gonna finish
was that just because Tua got hurt and they never got back on track, or did teams start to figure them out? That's what we don't know. I think they still are going to be really, really effective offensively in Miami when Tua's available. But that's the thing, is Tua making it through the whole season. The minute he's not, they're in massive trouble. Like any team that loses their starting quarterback, it's just we saw the likelihood of Tua being out for the season is higher because, unfortunately for him, all it really does take is one more concussion, one more hit to the ground, and more than any other quarterback, because of his history, it could be the end of your season. He was very, we talked retirement this past offseason. That was something that people thought was actually a possibility, considering how serious.
He said he considered it.
We all saw him, and we all saw the reaction his body had. I mean, that was scary, scary stuff.
So, I just feel like I could talk myself into – I'm just trying to set myself up, because if it's Week 11 – and they are like the 14th scoring defense, but they're doing it in the AFC, I'm going to feel better about the defense than the 14th
it's better than last year, too. If that's what they are. I mean, again, if they're 14th and top 15, that actually is still improvement either way from a year,
but it's improvement.
Year ago. I mean, I mean, as a team, they should have the goal of, hey, we want to be a top 10 unit. That's what you don't want them saying. Oh yeah, we're shooting for 13th. No, they should be shooting to be a top 10 defense. They do theoretically on paper have the talent to go ahead and do that. I just still think it's a tall task to actually get there. But
the turnovers might be the most important thing. You want to
talk
about
19th and takeaways per game on
average.
average.
Per game down. Take the damn ball away.
Yeah.
They don't have anybody like that, though. Who's the take the ball away guy?
This is where McDuffie comes in. He's talked about it a lot. He had a couple drops last year. If they throw his way, I think there's a chance he can be more of a ball hawk type of corner this year. That's how he elevates his game. That's how he elevates his game. It's also how, somebody like Justin Reed, when we're talking about maybe having a chance, if they're going to do this, he has to play at an all-pro level. He can play more of the Tyrann Mathieu role if you feel confident in Brian Cook in that secondary this year. Mike Edwards, I would have said, he's hurt today. Hopefully he'll be fine with the ankle injury. But those guys maybe make you feel a bit better about letting Reed kind of be more of a rover, if you will.
Yeah, I think that, to me, Cook is a Thornhill replacement. Thornhill had a fine year. Cook will have a fine year, too. So I'm not asking either of those guys to be superstars yet. They're both second-round picks who immediately became starters in their second year. I assume that I'll get similar production. All
right, let's get to it. The random question of the day.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Quentin. For you, Drew. And over on the text line, of course, 913-586-7610. Okay, so today, this would just be a very simple, classic Reddit thread one.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're familiar with the Reddit, am I the a-hole, right? Very simple. Okay, so
I'm not familiar with that.
It's just people very simply submitting a question about, hey, am I the jerk here?
Oh, okay.
Or is somebody else the jerk here, right? Very simple. So that's the question today. Am I the jerk, right?
Yes.
Am I the a-hole for what happened here? Yesterday, I'm going down to my mailbox to retrieve the mail. I don't know, after I got the kids up there, and there is a typed note in my mailbox from a person who did not identify themselves that said, hey, do you think you can get the tree in your front yard trimmed? There's been a couple of branches that had fallen down from it, and I've moved them to the side. I didn't know they fell, but a couple smaller branches.
Did that happen?
I assume they did. There's a couple of branches over there, but they could have fallen from underneath once I went down there. A couple of branches that had fallen on the sidewalk. I moved them to the side, plus one of the branches overhanging a little bit. I don't want kids walking to school and like a tree branch hitting them. So I've just been letting this tree live its life. I've had multiple of my trees trimmed recently, as you know, because of all the tree trouble. This person sent an anonymous note that said, but it was more terse than that. It said, like, respect us by trimming this tree was essentially the vibe of this note.
Okay.
It said, all of us neighbors, like they had a meeting or something.
They're talking
We're
about
wondering
you.
if you could trim the tree in front of your house. It's on your property. It's hanging over the sidewalk. People can't push their strollers through, we think, or even walk on the sidewalk.
That's actually a problem, Cody.
Okay, so I'm the jerk? By the way, it's getting trimmed today.
Oh, so it worked. It worked then.
Oh, yeah, they shamed
worked.
me.
It worked then.
Of course it worked.
Well, you're not.
I can be shamed.
If the question, you're not an a-hole because you're getting it fixed, so you're good. If you wouldn't have got it fixed, I would say you're an a-hole. You're not. You're getting it fixed.
I thought about not getting it fixed. I thought about just
you're
trimming
good
up
then.
a couple of things on my own.
You're good then. At least you're doing this.
I think that they should have to put their name on it. Or knock on my door and just ask me.
Maybe my parents.
Hiding behind anonymous letters is weak.
Maybe my parents need to do this with their neighbors. So they have a neighbor, and there are at 2 trees and maybe this bush that is completely overgrown, and it has gone over the fence. Okay, Cody? Like, it's bad. Like, take care of your crap on your side. But because, like, legally, the tree that's hanging over in my parents' yard, they're actually responsible to get it trimmed, not the neighbor, which is BS. Right? It's way into my parents' backyard. Way into it. It's their tree, not my parents' tree. They're never going to trim it. Theoretically, they don't have to trim it.
That's correct.
Which
you
is
only have to
BS.
trim what's on your
So
property.
should they send a letter?
This one, by the way, is so firmly like right on the property line between me and my neighbor. It's a real in-betweener tree. Let's just be honest. It's kind of stuck in between, and I was going to try to get all our trees trimmed in a rotation because it's kind of expensive, and I have like 400 of them. So I got 3 trees trimmed this year and 1 taken down. I'm like, all right, I'll get to the other half next year, cool. And now I'm being harassed by anonymous neighbors.
They're not harassing you.
Why didn't they just put their name on it? Just say, I live at this address, you got a problem. I mean, I'm not like, they see me, I'm out here with my kids. Just own up to it. That's
Because
all I'm
clearly
asking
other
for.
neighbors have talked about it.
Who? I've never seen anyone on my street hanging out with each other. And now all of a sudden they're having potluck dinner?
It worked, though.
Of course it
Once
works.
they mention kids
I
and
felt
you
terrible
blocking
immediately.
the sidewalk, then clearly this has been an ongoing problem. You've lived at this house how long?
Someone said you were causing a nuisance in your community and trying to deflect responsibility. Nuisance? Okay, look, this overhang branch, it does kind of like shade the part of the sidewalk. To pretend that someone couldn't go under, it's a bit strong.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have to actively duck all the time. You can trim your crap.
It's kind of a weep. Like the tree kind of weeps over with the
Well,
branches.
trim it up. It sounds like you agree because you're getting it trimmed.
That's because I feel guilty.
Well, that's the point of the letter. The point of the letter was to make you feel guilty, and it worked. Good on them.
These days,
Good
they
on
can't
them,
duck
by
under
the way.
Someone says, do you have an HOA? I don't. Just tell them to kick rocks. You're like, well, I don't have an HOA.
I mean, yeah, you could have been a complete jerk and just done nothing and then seen what they would do. They didn't want to knock on your door because they didn't want conflict, so they figured this was a very passive-aggressive way of doing it.
But they have conflict with me.
No, they don't, because you don't know who they are. Who you have conflict
But they
with.
have a problem with me. They're like,
Not anymore.
they've been stewing over this.
Not
Dude,
anymore,
if
they
you
don't.
write a note, you've been stewing over it.
But not anymore. It's fixed. You're getting it trimmed today, you said.
I think they should have to confront me. I think that they should have to look me in the eye and tell me that they got a problem with me. I want to know which neighbor it was. That's the truth. I want to know which one of you are all getting together complaining. The other part about this is, like, can't push a stroller. I don't think there are any babies on my street. I have never seen one person in our cul-de-sac push a stroller down the sidewalk. Where is this coming
Hold on,
from?
but by that logic, though, it's like, I've never seen someone use the sidewalk. I can do whatever I want with it.
I've definitely seen people use the sidewalk, but I've just never seen that. I've just never seen that person.
Someone says, it sounds like, Cody, you have nosy neighbors. I'm a realtor. I'm happy to help you find a new home where you can treat your trees any way you wish.
Cody, do you think you needed to trim the tree?
I think it needed to be trimmed next year, right? Like, I'm not saying it never needed to be trimmed, but in my opinion, I had some time. I had, 6-8 months.
Were there tree branches on the sidewalk?
No, I have moved several tree branches and gotten rid of, bagged up former tree branches at other times. So all my trees shed branches just like any tree, right? And when they fall off, I put them in a little pile, and after a while, I go take the little chainsaw out, and I cut them up. I put them in bags, and they go away. So occasionally this woman might be walking past, and a branch that I haven't gotten to yet could have been on the sidewalk. There's no doubt about that. But for the most part, I've been trying to pile them, then cut them up, and then get rid of them.
Okay, then in my personal non-homeowner opinion, then I don't care. I don't care. Like, if it's really that big of a deal, use the other side of the sidewalk, walk in the street. I don't care.
It did specifically say something about we don't want kids walking in the street. I was like, I mean, I know, but they can just walk in the grass, or I don't know.
Okay,
it's fine. We took care of it.
I know.
Someone says
I'm
this
an
might be
old soul.
Yeah.
Okay, but when I walked to school, I did not walk on a sidewalk. Okay, so kids could walk in the street. It's fine.
Someone did say that this might be a if you give a mouse a cookie situation, which is now they know this worked, they might shame you into all kinds of things. What were we going to say, Drew?
I don't know if either of you necessarily crossed the line. Now, if you would have said, this is going to cost me money and you have to pay for it if you want it fixed.
Hundreds of dollars.
Well, I know. I'm just like the fact that you fixed it. I mean, you're not the jerk. I don't know if they're necessarily a jerk either for bringing it up. But I mean, obviously they seem to be not necessarily triggered, but it seems to be have built up enough for them to write you a note and leave it in your mailbox.
What would have happened if I had just put a note back on the outside of the mailbox?
Oh, there
and
we
said,
go. There we go.
Hey, this costs hundreds of dollars, and I can't afford this. So, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'll get it trimmed later.
Do you have a good relationship with any of your neighbors? Do you talk to any of your neighbors?
Not really. We live on kind of a weird street. We live right on the corner of, like, the bottom of a cul-de-sac, and it's just like a one-off street. It's not really connected. It's, like, slightly disjointed from the rest of the neighborhoods nearby us. So it's really just this one, like, 20-house block. And we're on the corner. So we only have one direct neighbor. The one across the street is just one guy. It's definitely not him. And then there's like 18 houses up the cul-de-sac that we don't see all that often. We walk up the cul-de-sac or back around. But to Quentin's point, there is a sidewalk on the other side of the street. I mean, it's not like this is the only sidewalk. The sidewalk ends at my driveway. You can only take that sidewalk as far as my driveway, and then there's no more sidewalk remaining.
Someone says Cody's reaction conveys the reason they were afraid to confront you. What would you have done if they would have knocked? If they would have knocked on your door and said, "Hey, I'm Brian. We live up the street at 1-1 whatever." We were concerned. We talked to some neighbors as well. There's that sidewalk down there, and you'd be like, "Yeah, what about it?" And they would say, "See those branches? It's making it hard for us to pass through. Do you mind trimming it?" What would you have said?
I would have way more respect. I'd have been like, "I understand."
Well, you would have been like, you would have been a little flustered. I know you. For a second, you would have been flustered. You'd be like, "Oh, I had no idea. I'm so sorry."
I would have respected them more. But also, stop taking an informal poll of the rest of the neighbors. Okay, you don't have to like knocking on doors. How many neighbors? One.
Someone says you should put a sign up right by once it's trimmed, and I have in your yard.
It says you're welcome.
Be like, "You're welcome." Yeah.
That's so passive.
Very passive aggressive.
Just to put a sign up in your yard that says
something like that. All right, that's the random question of the day. 913-586-7610. We are broadcasting up here in St. Joe. Our Chiefs training camp coverage inside the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. We only have today and tomorrow up here. That's it. And you remember one of the first days of camp you brought up, are we going to tackle the sled?
Yeah, correct.
Someone asked the question a second ago. Are you guys going to actually do that or not? Well, we've been told we're not supposed to. That's for sure.
That's correct.
So we'll see what tomorrow brings. I guess it's definitely not happening today. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Is there anybody? There's actually nobody on the field now. Normally there's someone doing a little landscape or something. There's nobody around Cody right now.
Well, they just filled up the little spots and then they've left.
Not a soul around. I mean, there's nobody. This could have been the time.
I've been trying to get my foot right so I can kick this field goal.
Well, that has to happen tomorrow as well. Tomorrow could be a busy day.
I bought a tee.
You told me it came in. You're good to go?
Came in.
Have you practiced? Be honest. Have you practiced?
I have not. My foot's been bad. Think about it. I just told you I've had foot pain.
Yeah.
The super bone has been acting up.
The super bone.
Once it acts up, then what choice would you have, you know?
Do you need to be on the PUP list?
No. Not yet. Look, if for some reason I wake up tomorrow and I can't function
Here's what's going to happen.
A couple days ago, you saw me. I couldn't walk very well. Now I'm feeling a lot better.
We've got the hot dog derby coming up at the K for 6-10 Day at the K on the 29th.
You think I'm going to hurt myself in the hot dog derby?
No, well, you're going to hurt yourself trying to do this kick, and then you're going to have a club foot dragging during the hot dog derby.
My foot was hurt during the last hot dog derby.
And you're going to use that as an excuse. You'll use that foot as an excuse.
Just so you know, my foot was inflamed during the last hot dog derby race.
And you got last.
I didn't use it as an excuse.
And you got last.
I got last because Pete cheated. Not because of my foot, because Pete cheated. Nick beat me fair and square. I can't.
Okay.
He outran me. There's nothing I can do about that. But
Fair
Pete
enough.
cheated. That's why I lost to him versus everyone else.
All right, coming up next, we'll continue our training camp coverage. We'll get back to the Chiefs and talk a little bit about Chris Jones. Obviously, where things stand, there was a deal that got done elsewhere in the NFL. Cody actually thinks it's a good sign for Kansas City. I don't think it has anything to do with it. We'll tell you what happened next.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today, get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
Football season is here, and whether you plan on going to the big game or having a tailgate at your house, you need Smokehouse Barbecue. Let Smokehouse cater your entire event. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings, and don't forget about Smokehouse's hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go along with your meal as well. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. Check them out at smokehousebbq.com. That's smokehousebbq.com. For over 35 years, locally owned and family operated, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
Score big this year with your home team, Ag Power. From powerful John Deere tractors plowing through the toughest terrains to mighty zero-turn mowers cutting through grass like a linebacker, Ag Power is your all-star defensive line when it comes to tackling projects. They have a variety of tractor packages designed for properties both big or small. Regardless of the task, you'll always be on the winning team with Ag Power. Visit agpower.com to find the location nearest you. Welcome home, Missouri.
It's National Minority Donor Awareness Month. Join the 170 million people who have signed up as organ, eye, and tissue donors. Go to organdonor.gov today. From the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
Hey guys, beat up from Fesco in the morning. Can you imagine losing 15% of your body fat? Well, I've already lost 60 pounds in just 11 weeks. Slim for Life has made it possible and affordable by partnering with a prestigious compound pharmacy so you can take advantage of the new semaglutide medications that all the celebrities are taking for only $99 this month. On Slim for Life's medical plan, our medical professionals are with you every step of the way to help you achieve your weight loss goals with these life-changing new medications. The safest and most effective approach to achieving sustainable weight loss. It's time to look better and feel better just like me. Prove your health, have tons of energy. Now you can join the other 100,000 clients in Kansas City that said, I did it. I'm Slim for Life. Call 833-SLIM today to start your semaglutide meds for only $99 this month. And when you schedule your free consultation, you could win tickets to see our defending champions play on August 26th. Or hit them online at slim4life.com. Exclusive of products, shipping may apply. Tell them B-Dub from 610 Sports Radio sent you.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician. Dick Ray, he's a man on a mission. When your pipes are leaking, your bathroom's flooding, and you're feeling kind of blue, there's a master plumber who knows just what to do. He's there for you, and he'll do it all with skill and precision. Dick Ray, he's your plumbing magician.
This month, Dick Ray will clean any drain for $79.
Kelly Blue Book is the one-stop shop for pricing, fixing, selling, and instant cash offering. Instant Cash Offer is exactly what it sounds like. An official offer to buy or trade your car. Just enter your VIN or license plate, answer a few questions about your car's history, and what kind of condition it's in. In minutes, you'll receive an offer to sell or trade your car that you can be sure is fair. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car and schedule a time to meet. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service. Delivering for America.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Miss anything while you were at work? Every show is available on demand at 610sports.com and the Odyssey app. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Ziggy plays guitar.
1 o'clock hour here in St. Joe. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Our training camp coverage brought to you by St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be a part of history by attending Chiefs Training Camp. Learn more at stjomo.com. Reminder, coming up in about a half hour. Earlier today, we were joined by JJ Picollo, Royals Vice President of Baseball Ops, GM, to get his thoughts on what we've seen recently from not just Bobby Wood Jr., but Cole Reagans, from Brady Singer, what it sets up for the offseason. We always check in with JJ every couple of weeks, and so looking forward. We enjoyed having him on the show, and we'll certainly look forward to talking about that again when you hear that conversation coming up in a little bit. But Chris Jones still not up here. No surprise. He's not going to make it up to St. Joe. I think it's pretty clear. We've known that for quite some time. Haven't seen too much Twitter action or anything like that here in the last 24 hours or so after a busy weekend.
He just liked a tweet from...
He liked a tweet. Of yours?
No. From Kramer, who you've heard on the show a couple of times. Kramer sent a tweet that said, well, if the Chiefs don't want Chris Jones, he'd look good in silver and black. Chris Jones, that's the most recent tweet he liked.
And Kramer's a Raiders fan, so that's why you did the silver and black. See, that's just a troll thing now. That's just a troll thing. Did you see the ridiculous rumor that even Benjamin Albright out in Denver put out a tweet to squash the rumor? Like, I think we all knew it was a rumor. You didn't even need to go and confirm it.
What was the rumor?
There was a rumor of some random Twitter account that the Chiefs were talking to the Broncos to trade Chris Jones. I'm like, you don't even need to source that or double check. It's obvious.
Let me just tell you, it's not true.
Not true.
Having zero information on the subject.
Yeah, not
going to happen.
Well, one, besides the obvious part, the Broncos, they're also way down the road. We've talked about this over and over. Trading him makes no sense anymore. You've built your roster with him in mind. You could have traded him in April if you wanted to go down that path, and I would have been okay and understanding because you could have approached your draft in a certain way
I'd
to build out the roster.
I'd still entertain it if I thought he wasn't going to be here long term, but
dude, if Chris Jones
it's tough in the repeat Super Bowl champion.
If Chris Jones wasn't actually on the team and you traded him, yeah, you'll get some draft picks, but your interior is Daniel Wise and Derek Nottie.
It's a problem.
Your ends for the first 6 weeks are Malik Herring and Felix Anudike Uzama and George Karlaftis. Karlaftis. Well, yeah, I'm just talking about one side. Yeah,
sure.
But Karlaftis suddenly is your best.
I assume if you traded Chris Jones, some veteran defensive lineman
I don't know.
in that rotation.
I don't know.
Like, I don't think they're trading Chris Jones.
That's
I
the
actually
good thing.
believe Brett Veach when he says that. I don't think that that's going to be the case, but
I'd
sure like some movement there, some give in all of this. Chris Jones has been very upfront and said that he wants to be a Chief for life, and I wonder if they're trying to hold that against him now. If some part of like, hey, you said you wanted to be here forever, and you signed the last contract when you said that, and we've won 2 Super Bowls together, and you've had a great career, and you're under the age of 30. There's all the reasons this should make sense. And he's like, cool. I just want to be paid like the best defensive tackle in the NFL like I am. And they're like, ooh, what about 15% less? And they're like, no, not 15% less. I just want the number.
You think what happened in Dallas is a good thing for Chris Jones? Explain this again.
I would like to think so because, to me, he's the only remaining technical holdout. Josh Jacobs still hasn't returned to camp, although they think he might be close. I'll tell you right now, Dalvin Cook's number helps. Josh Jacobs showing up to camp.
Yeah, well,
Dalvin Cook is a free agent and got less than Josh Jacobs could make right now.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs signed that sheet of paper that says
guarantees,
$10.1 million, whereas Dalvin Cook got $7 million. So if the Raiders actually let you walk, you're getting way less than $10 million this year. So that's why I think Josh Jacobs will sign.
Especially this late in camp. That's part of the problem Dalvin Cook has, is that this late in the year, you're not getting top dollar. Teams don't have all of this cap space. It required Aaron Rodgers to do it. But the second that they moved on from Martin, I think what happened there is the Cowboys got desperate because they realize Zach Martin is very important to what they do. He plays guard, man. Guard. I would think that the Chiefs would be feeling a similar pressure. No, they're not just giving him a raise like they did Zach Martin. They gave him $6 extra million a year over the next 2 years. But to me, that's the same thing as he wants $2.5 million more a year than you're willing to pay right now. Okay, $7.5 million. Maybe it's $10 million more than you're willing to pay over the next 4 years. It's the same thing Zach Martin's doing. He says, I want to be paid more. You're like, you're paid enough. Then eventually when you decide on the importance, you're like, am I really going to let this thing fall apart for $10 million? Because that's what I feel like is happening with Chris Jones. Are you really going to let this thing fall apart for the difference between, let's say, $100 and $110 million? Not worth it to me, in my opinion. I'm hoping, I'm optimistic maybe the Zach Martin thing will shed a little light on this.
I mean, I think Nick Bosa's still out there. I don't believe he's shown up yet for the 49ers, and he's obviously at least plays more of a similar spot than Chris Jones. I get what you're saying with the Zach Martin deal. I don't view them as the same, though, because while it's more money for Zach Martin, they didn't have to do it. It's not a 4-year or 3-year deal worth $105 million or $100 million that the Chiefs are trying to get done with Chris Jones. It's just much different. You have Chris Jones who's trying to be just under or the highest paid tackle in football, potentially. It's a little bit different than just giving Zach Martin a couple more bucks over the next 2 years and the final 2 years of his contract, given and also their cap situation. So that to me is why I don't think you can say, well, the Cowboys figured out with Zach Martin. That means the Chiefs are more likely to. I think the Chiefs can still figure this thing out with Chris Jones, but I just don't believe the Zach Martin situation in Dallas means anything, frankly. With what Chris Jones may or may not get, or it tells Chris Jones that, hey, just keep waiting. It means good things are going to happen. Everybody's dug their heels in. I think that the Chiefs understand probably a week or two ago that Chris Jones was never going to come up to St. Joe. And
he's not making it before Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think they realized that even a week or two ago. I think if you would have got a true answer. And we heard from Brett Veach, he mentioned, hey, we got some time. He keeps mentioning September 7th. That means they thought this was a long, drawn-out process. And a week ago when we mentioned that comment, you and I had the conversation on this show that it didn't feel like anything was happening anytime soon. So that's why, I think on Friday's show you asked me, hey, on Monday or Tuesday, if he's still not here, it's still not done, are you going to think it's less likely? And I said, not really, because I didn't think it was going to – you didn't either think it was going to happen Monday. So that's where it's like, oh, if he's not here tomorrow, do I feel worse? No, because I don't think he's showing up tomorrow.
You said it's 10 days out for you. I think it's a few extra days for me. It's 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because I feel like 2 weeks would be about perfect with the Thursday night game. One whole week of just get in here, run a wind sprint or two, dot a couple of I's, and another week of actually get yourself in game shape, get ready, game plan, and get there, right? To me, that is the timeline in which his holdout doesn't affect his play on the field, and that I still think there's a chance to get a deal done in the final 2 weeks. The question, I guess, that hasn't been asked of Brett Veach yet that I would be interested in is he or are you willing to have these negotiations inside the actual season? And my guess is, based on this holdout, you aren't. Because otherwise, if Chris Jones is willing to have these conversations in season, I think he'd be here. Because these conversations could continue for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months. I think the Chiefs want this done now. I think Chris Jones wants this done now. I don't think that they're really in the mind of, what if we worked this out in November?
No, this has to be done before the season. This has to be done before the season starts.
I mean, it's like technically no, but yes.
That's how the Chiefs operate as an organization. They don't do the in-season stuff. I mean,
we heard JJ Picollo earlier, like the distraction.
Most teams don't. Most teams don't want to mess with that.
It does occasionally happen, though. We do see extensions happen in the middle of the year sometimes.
Not with the Chiefs, though. You know what I mean?
Like I think that might happen with Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow might get extended in November.
Yeah, see, I think his is going to happen. Assuming his health and calf is good, that usually, to me, is the type of deal that it's they play Sunday. It's the Wednesday of game week. It's the Friday night before their first game. We see this with coaches a lot. It's in the NCAA tournament with coaches where it'll be they're getting ready for the Elite Eight and 2 days, or the Final Four, and like that week of they assign them to a new 5-year extension. That's the kind of stuff that happens in season more so than anything else. And the Chiefs just don't operate that way. I mean, can you give me an example of if either this regime or the prior regime in season signing an extension? They just don't operate that way.
No.
They just don't operate that way, which is fine, by the way. I think that's also like the deadline you have to set to get something to happen. Deadline spur action. If you're saying publicly, oh, yeah, we're willing to talk all year about this, well, then there's really no deadline. You have to say in your mind.
Unless you hold out into regular season games.
And Chris Jones, we've talked about, that does him no good either. Not only are you missing out money this year, if you don't get an extension in Kansas City, you need to have another really good year to go get paid either in KC next year or elsewhere, become a free agent. So there's no reason for Chris Jones to miss actual games this year. That would not make any sense.
I don't think so. I still think he'll be back at some point for the regular season, but God, it doesn't seem like there's any movement there, man. It seems like there's still some sort of disconnect between the two. It's that or Chris Jones just really knows he's going to sign this deal and really likes being silly on social media.
We should have our new producer, Drew, reach out to the agent of Michael Bay, okay? The agent of Michael Bay. Let's get after Michael. Let's get Michael Bay on the show and find out really what was said at that party that Chris Jones and him were at. That's actually I can tell him how much you hate his movies, and I'll tell him how much I love Armageddon and Pearl Harbor. Be a great interview.
I'll happily tell him. He'd never come on the show again, but I'll tell him.
Well, he'll never come on the show again anyway. He's probably never coming on the show to begin with. Someone says, I think they did Alex Smith extension in season. I'd have to double check.
According to this, Bay has a number of point agents because, super fidget. But his main guy is Rich Cook.
What? Rich Cook?
Well, I don't know. There's also a Deadline article from last year that says he just changed agents. So, I don't know. I don't want to say for sure. Don't hold me to any of no. I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea who his agent is. I'll figure that out later. It's really not important to the story. That's Drew's problem now. We'll let Drew figure out who Michael Bay's agent is, and if we can get.
From what I can see, but the Alex Smith that wasn't in season, but that's all I can see from this old article. September 1st. That would be right before the start of the season. That's my point. Right before.
Yeah, that's what you were just saying.
September 1. It was right before the start of the season.
Which certainly puts it after camp and inside of the range.
Well, that stuff happens. That's what I'm saying. Even on the Joe Burrow extension, I think there's a chance 2 days before game day that they make that public and official. It's like that's way more likely to happen for a quarterback heading into a season, assuming his calf is fine.
Makes sense. I mean, it really does.
So says, where's the money go that Chris Jones gets fined? He can get up to $3 million in fines. It goes to like an NFL fund and eventually goes to some charities, doesn't it, or something like that? Yeah. It's like an NFL fund that they just collect all the money, and we're told it goes to charity.
I think it should go to season ticket holders.
What? Just like discount after everybody, like
you get into a lottery.
$3 million divided by the 65.
You get to win a lottery. You're a season ticket member, and all the fines you collect for these training camp things, you get entered to win the lottery. Of Chris Jones' $1.2 million in fines, you know?
I thought you were going to.
And maybe allow local radio hosts to also enter the lottery.
I thought you were saying you take the $3 million fine, divide it by the 65,000, 70,000 season ticket holders or whatever, and then just knock it off their ticket price.
You're going to get like $40 off.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's way more fun to give somebody one big fat check.
So what? Then fans will be rooting.
And takes a picture.
So then fans are rooting for players of their team to get fined.
They just want them to hold out. Yeah.
The fans want their players to get fined, so they have money for their fan lottery.
Correct.
Okay, Raiders fans are really cashing in. Man, man,
Max Crosby's going to boost that number up.
Someone says, why can't this go back to our salary cap? That would be great. If you told me the Chiefs already now freed up an extra $1.5 million, it just doesn't work that way. But that would be incredible.
By the way, would be the worst thing ever for the player who have already negotiated a genuinely horrible strategy. The whole thing to remember in all of this is the way this setup is horrible for the players, and they should have never let the NFL owners get away with it. They effectively ended the ability to hold out well. Now, you can't hold out. Chris Jones is doing it right now, but he can't get his $1.5 million back when this whole thing's done.
Right.
Neither can Zach Martin. Neither can Bosa. It doesn't guarantee you get any contract back. You just start losing game checks. They took something away. Meanwhile, NFL players can, smoke pot sometimes now. They did not get the better end of this deal. They let the NFL take something significant
players
away
signed off on it.
which was leverage. No, it's their mistake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the
This
owners
is-
are.
but
they made a mistake.
That's always what happens during the CBA. We got, 7 more years of the current one, something like that. This goes back to our conversation a few weeks ago with the running backs and how the running backs want to get paid more and the NFLPA is going to get involved more. NFL owners will gladly let the NFLPA focus in on running back salaries the next collective bargaining agreement because they'll end up not focusing on something else that the league and owners actually truly want to fight and care about. You're right. They suddenly get the pass on the marijuana before instead of focusing on something else because the owner's like, sure, we'll give you that. The NFL wants eventually, we know, Cody, to get to not just an 18-week but an 18-game schedule. Well, eventually they're gonna ask the players or give the players something, make it seem like they're getting it.
It'll be so
to add an
meaningless.
extra game. It might be something with
Give them holdouts back. They'll be like, "Thanks, man," but an 18th game
Sure.
instead. They'll give them something they care less about. That was the baseball players union made the same mistake. These players unions sometimes need better like they were fighting over. They were fighting over like chefs. You're like, I get it. I know why you want it. I understand, but that's got to be a line item, not the thing you're like fighting for in this negotiation. And unfortunately, they missed it in this one because now they've effectively killed holdouts. Like, you're under contract, and there's nothing you can do about it. So either show up or lose a bunch of money, and it cost us nothing. So thanks. If you gave them one more piece of leverage, if you gave them in addition to that, they got that back on the salary cap, owners wouldn't care if you held out for 4 weeks. You'd eventually show back up for your check, and they'd have all that extra money to pay for some corner in week 8.
We're live in the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer. Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Tomorrow, Kansas City has a visitor coming to town. It is the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, coming to Kansas City. I'm guessing, maybe I'm wrong, the last time he was in KC? Was it the All-Star game, or has he been there since?
I'm assuming he's been. I'm assuming he goes to like every ballpark once a
You
year.
think? You sure? I'm sure he's
what
been
else
here
he
for
got
something.
going
I'm sure he's been here post World Series, not All-Star game. I'm sorry. It's post 2015. He was obviously here when they were in the World Series in 2015. Do you think he's been here since the team was in the World Series?
Yes.
Okay. You're probably right. You're probably right. I feel like it hasn't been publicized. Either way, he's in town tomorrow, and he's in town to talk about the downtown ballpark or future site,
Future
Clay
plans
County, and how other markets have benefited from downtown or new ballpark and districts around it.
You think it's going to make any difference for people's opinion?
No. I honestly don't think he's probably the person anybody wants to hear from, if you want to know my honest opinion about it. I think so many people have dug in, though, where I don't think the commissioner of baseball making a comment and referencing what happened in another city and what was so great there is going to make people that are against it flip. I think people know by now. We talk about the mismanagement of what was pushed out there in the early going, and we still don't know the exact site yet, which one they're going to choose, downtown or Clay County, even though downtown seems like the heavy favorite. I think people have already made up their mind, man. I don't think you're going to sway anybody anymore.
You have to be able – if they think that, then they've got a real problem. You can still change someone's opinion of this, can't you? You mentioned the sheer mention of the Chiefs was probably the last big swing in the Royals' favor. I think they just need to lock arms. This is a We Are the World video where essentially it's just them together saying, we need this, Kansas City, downtown 2022, and renovations for Arrowhead.
Oh, the Chiefs thing, sure, but I'm talking about Rob Manfred. The Chiefs thing, we know the Chiefs being attached to it makes it easier just because, in a way, it's almost like cheating. Because it's like, well, I'm not going to vote against the Chiefs thing. That's how a lot of people are viewing it.
Well, a lot of people in the text line said exactly those things to us, which was winners get to ask for whatever they want, losers don't. I still think that's the wrong attitude when you're talking about infrastructure improvements for a city. I don't think you should be talking about. Yeah. It's also just functionally not how it works. And I'm not saying we have to accept every part of our life where we're like, well, that's the way it works, because there are screwed up parts of our system just as, in general, that we shouldn't just be like, well, that's the way life is, so never try to make it better. That's not a good way to operate either. But just generally speaking, the timing of the stadium is more and probably should be more closely tied to when it needs to not be that stadium anymore than it does, let's try to pigeonhole the perfect time in which we're winning. Because if that were the case, then I guess, how would you have felt if in 2015 the Royals had been like, we're tearing down Kauffman. I know you just saw a World Series there. You'd be like, whoa, what the hell? I just watched them win the World Series. You'd be like, we're winning. We can ask for whatever we want. Sorry, you said so. That wouldn't have flown either. It wouldn't have worked. So when I look at this from Manfred, it's to me it'll end up. I guess I'll find out what he says. It's tomorrow. He's here.
Tomorrow he'll be in KC.
I feel like it's going to be like nothing. He's just going to come out. The thing he needs to avoid, truthfully, is making it seem like it's this or it's miserable, right? Because I'll tell you this, I don't think, in my experience and us talking about this topic a number of times, talking to people with the Royals, not with the Royals, fans, everybody, I think one thing nobody wants to hear is this just does not work in any way unless you do the thing we're asking. And if Manfred comes in here and does that versus just say, he'll say the same things normal teams say. Look at the economic impact we saw in the stadium in Atlanta and the jobs that it created and the money that it adds and all those things. That's fine.
Yeah, that's his job, basically, to sell that as well. And, it's different than – the Royals are still in a different spot. We've I think when we did our roundtable, right, our Royal State of the Union, we had C-Dot and Bob, Josh. We were all together, Vern. We were all talking about this. And I can't remember. I think it was C-Dot. He made the comment, about the transparency of it, but also how much we're learning now versus what's happened in Vegas with other franchises leaving and other sports and from Oakland and things like that. And the difference is, unlike, for example, Manfred's comments towards Milwaukee, where Milwaukee's basically in a spot where if they don't get $450 million in renovation and for their stadium, there's some threat that they could move the Brewers, right? That stuff has never – that has never been part of the.
Sherman's not going to threaten that because he shouldn't.
That's never been part of the equation here with the Royals. In fact,
it's not a thing.
Everything John Sherman actually has said in why he believes personally in a new ballpark is that he, in his mind, can ensure for another 50 years
nobody makes that
nobody can move the team. That they've got such a relationship with the city and such a ballpark and eventually new ownership way down the road, someone from this current ownership group ideally, that has ties to KC to keep the team versus continuing to play in a certain ballpark that makes it easier to move the team to another spot. That's the nice thing about this current situation. You may not like the idea of public money going to a brand new stadium. I get it. But you're not being threatened like we've seen in Oakland, like we've seen potentially in Milwaukee with, hey, do this, or we could just go over here. Or we could go over here, plan Z is Kansas, like plan Z, as if everything fell apart. That's not going to happen. Not leaving the region, like the Brewers could end up leaving Milwaukee, like the A's are leaving
the closest
Oakland.
They've come is we'll go, to North Kansas City.
Yeah.
They haven't even started state line conversations yet. So it's a very different vibe than that. And I honestly don't think that, and you and I don't think that that's going to go that way. I just don't know.
Be curious what
Rob
he says
Manfred
tomorrow.
this is just one of those things you do. If that makes sense? You do it, but does it mean anything? Probably not. Does it move the needle for fans right now? Probably not.
I heard Bob talking this morning.
Fire me up a rendering, and let's see where we go.
I heard Bob and Josh talking this morning. We were setting up about this very thing, and we know that in Jackson County, a lot of the issue, believe it or not, has been with the relationship on this project, the belief from Frank White, right, and him not being 100% on board. And Bob thinks that this meeting, Rob Manfred, they can do the public press conference, but maybe Frank White, Rob Manfred, John Sherman all together in a room, that actually helps ease that relationship with the
Frank
current.
White hasn't helped the situation.
And I shouldn't say relationship. It's not like him and John Sherman don't get along. It's more on the belief in the project and what is being asked. I shouldn't say. I mean, it's we know the relationship stuff from many years ago, but that's not a John Sherman, Frank White problem. I think it's about selling Frank White that this is the right project, the right location. This is what we're asking for. And getting him on board with it is actually pretty important. Even if we can talk about the side stuff, how Jackson County's got plenty of other stuff to worry about right now, and they're under fire with the personal property mess. But
you don't live in Jackson County, so you don't have to worry about it.
I don't.
And you don't own property, like a home.
I do not own a home. I do not.
You don't have. I mean, you have a car.
I have a car.
You own property, just not
a home.
The kind of property that was causing Jackson County.
Yeah, what a mess that is. What a mess.
This is the problem with home ownership. You get anonymous letters in your mailbox telling you that your tree looks like trash. Being trimmed right now, by the way. I won't even be able to tell the difference.
How much is it costing you? What do you
$400. Not cheap, man.
Yep.
You want to know the exact price?
That's what you should do.
And
Make
this guy,
a copy of the
by
bill.
The way,
Cody,
this guy is very reasonable. Oh, and just staple it.
If you want to really piss off your neighbors, the one that sent you the letter, staple the
Why
bill,
don't
staple the invoice, and put it on their front step.
just to print it out. You know what also confused me is that they typed it up.
Well, their
Doesn't it feel
handwriting
like
might suck. My handwriting sucks. I'd probably type it up, too.
You type it up?
Yeah, my handwriting's terrible. I'm not Bill Snyder writing handwritten letters to my neighbors.
I think if I were writing a letter in a mailbox, I'd handwrite it. I'm surprised they didn't cut out like magazine letters and put it like it's a ransom note. They were speaking of that thing.
Oh, man.
It's being trimmed as we speak, so I guess we'll find out if my tree works.
$400 just to get rid of one branch?
It's a very big. No, I did a full trim. If I'm going to trim the tree, I'm not going to say cut one branch off. Just trim the whole thing.
Is it going to look a lot better?
I don't know.
Not going to dangle over the sidewalk?
I'll be honest. Look, the other ones that I got trimmed earlier this year, and I had one tree taken down because it died, but the other ones I got trimmed this year, do I, when I'm standing back there, notice a distinctive? No.
Would you agree
Hell
the
no.
tree was?
It's one of those things
would
you
you agree
do.
the tree was overgrowing into other areas?
I would tell you that it was overhanging the sidewalk. I'm not denying that, but I don't think it was on the actual sidewalk as much as it was like creating a nice secret garden effect over the sidewalk. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right? Maybe it was creating a vibe.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't matter. I guess it'll be solved here soon enough.
All right, coming up next as we continue broadcasting in St. Joe, where our training camp coverage is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eat, drink, scenic views. We will get to what's trending, and you'll hear our conversation with the general manager of the Kansas City Royals, JJ Picollo. We asked him about what we saw last night, a wild finish, and also where things stand with this outfield that now has a lot of different bodies trying to figure out who's staying up in the big league club or not. That's next here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
We have James and Josiah from American Topsoil. Guys, what month is best for planting new grass?
Any month that ends in R. Laying down fresh soil before seeding is the best way to get ahead of the game. Our rich topsoil is great for leveling yards, and our pulverized soil creates a perfect seed bed for new grass.
So how do I know how much soil I need?
Our Power Wheelbarrow service assures that our customers are getting the exact amount of soil they need, exactly where they need it, and that's all they'll pay for.
How can I set up my delivery with American Topsoil?
Visit AmericanTopsoil.com or give us a call at 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, family owned and operated with more than 30 years, delivering great topsoil with their hassle-free Power Wheelbarrow service. Call 913-888-SOIL. That's 913-888-SOIL. Or online at AmericanTopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service, American Topsoil.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of two windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number one in number of windows sold in in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency. Over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Is your old boiler making some less than positive noises? It could be on the way out. Why wait until it gets ice cold outside to find out it's going to be ice cold inside? Up here, winter doesn't play, and neither do Navien boilers. You know Navien for their industry-leading tankless water heaters, but Navien also offers high-efficiency boilers built with quality materials, a compact design, and a strong warranty. Take advantage of a federal tax credit of up to $600. Take that chill outside with Navien boilers, the ultimate heating and comfort experience. Find your local Navien boiler installer at boilercomfort.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on all your school essentials, from notebooks to markers. Now at Staples, you can save even more with $20 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $50 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 8/19. Redeemable in-store only. Rewards members only.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending from Chiefs training camp, a lot of injury news today. So Mike Edwards, safety, did not practice today, dealing with an ankle injury. Jody Fortson, still no practice with a shoulder. We learned after practice today that he is now headed to IR with a shoulder injury that's requiring surgery. We kind of wondered if something like that was going to happen based on the time period that he was out. Also, Nick Jones, who's dealing with a couple of fractured fingers in his hand there. He did not practice. Still no L'Jarius Sneed, knee inflammation, no Tony. Turk Warden did miss practice, which that one's another one, Cody. We haven't talked about it today. He did not play in the preseason game. We assumed it was because he had just come off the PUP list, easing him in with a knee.
Yeah, but now he's not practicing.
Didn't practice today.
Probably just normal post-surgery.
Okay.
First couple of practices, got a little swelling. Honestly, I think he was going to be ready for the start of the regular season to start, so I guess I'm not
And then today at practice, a couple wide receivers got hurt, including Justyn Ross. The Chiefs are calling it a knee, hamstring, shin, leg injury, basically. Literally, that's what Andy said. Got carted up from
Something
practice
down
today.
there.
Was in the front of the cart, though. Did walk on his own. We won't know more till tomorrow. Also, Nico Remilio dealing with a shoulder injury. Had his shoulder, we think, pop back into place, according to Andy Reid. Hopefully that's something that can heal in a couple days. He had a nice showing in the preseason game. And then Amir Smith-Marset dealing with a strained groin.
Well, the entire wide receiver unit today. And when you include Tony being hurt, you're like, okay, we are getting down to it a little bit. Good chance for Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and others. Rashee Rice did get a chance to roll with the ones today for a little bit as well. Next up on What's Trending, the Colts have officially picked a starting quarterback, and thank God it's Anthony Richardson. Nobody wanted to see Gardner Minshew start more NFL games, and so he won't. Anthony Richardson will start the regular season for the Colts. Bryce Young has already been named the starter for the Carolina Panthers, and C.J. Stroud has been named the starter for the second preseason game this weekend, making him the starter for the second consecutive week for the Texans. So safe to assume that the first three quarterbacks taken in the draft last year, Gold, will be starters.
They should. That's exactly what they should do. There's no reason not to go ahead, and the only way Anthony Richardson is going to develop is if he's playing, not just sitting behind Gardner Minshew. I know here in KC we saw the example of Alex Smith, but we've talked about this. Mahomes is that special that he would have had a hell of a rookie season if he played his rookie season, and they did not have him sit behind Alex Smith. Plus, Andy Dalton's not Alex Smith, and Gardner Minshew's not Alex Smith. So that's also what changes the dynamic.
That
and Davis Mills is not Alex Smith.
Yes.
That's the difference here. Next on What's Trending, Royals in action again tonight. Wild win last night.
That was a fun one.
Ended up needing a walk-off. Shouldn't have. They had a nice lead, a no-hitter from Brady Singer going into the seventh inning last night. Bullpen gave up some runs, and inside the park homer for Bobby Wood Jr. So the Royals will send Jordan Lyles to the bump tonight. 7:10 first pitch. Vern will get you set at 6 o'clock tonight with his on-deck show. We need win number 4 from Jordan Lyles so we can get towards 6. But Royals are fun right now. They're fun to watch.
We'll get ourselves there. Next up on What's Trending, Missouri landed a top high school recruit, 5-star kid out of Lee Summit. Gold, you were saying you thought NIL might be the impact for this, but they've got new laws that are going to be a little less restrictive. But the thing that matters here is Missouri specifically, more than the other 3 local schools, because Kansas doesn't have this problem specifically for basketball. But in football, I think both schools get this mention. Missouri has never done a good job in basketball or football keeping in-state talent. This is a kid who's being recruited nationally. Oklahoma wanted him. Georgia wanted him.
Everybody.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Everybody. He had 31 offers. He's a 5-star recruit. He's one of the 10 best college football recruits in the country, and he's heading to Missouri instead. Huge win for Eli Drinkowitz.
Yeah, the NIL change there in Missouri through the state legislature. He can already start getting NIL money. He can already start. Through the recruiting. My understanding is through the recruiting process. Now that he's committed, once he signs, it's a little bit different. He doesn't have to wait until he's actually on campus. That's my understanding of the law, at least, to start profiting.
I had a job when I was in high school. Why can't he?
He can start doing that, I believe, in September. So that's the nice benefit for that. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold as we continue to broadcast from Chiefs Training Camp. Our training camp coverage brought to you by our friends at Max Ford. Max Motors down in Harrisonville, providing us with our Ford F-150. You might have caught our video we did earlier today. You can check it out on Twitter and on Facebook. We do our video right before the show when we make our drive up here to St. Joe. Earlier, we did have a chance to catch up with the general manager and the vice president of baseball operations for the Royals, JJ Picollo. We started our conversation talking about a wild finish and wild game last night. But let's talk a little Royals baseball. We mentioned that wild, fun game last night, so let's talk to the GM and the vice president of baseball operations for the Royals, JJ Picollo. Always good to have you on, JJ. Wanted to just start with last night. I mean, that's about as wild and fun of a game as you can have at this point in the season, considering the inside the park homer, a no-hitter in the 7th, and then you guys walk it off with a bunt.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. A lot of emotion, excitement. Watching Brady pretty much dominate the game, and his pitch count was low, so you start tallying up the pitch totals, and you're thinking, all right, he's got it in him to finish this thing off, and other than the one walk, I mean, he was one hitter away from a perfect game. Other than the one walk, so that was exciting. And the no hitters broken up, and next thing you know, we got a ball game, and then we're behind. And along the way, as you said, Bobby with the inside the park homer, and the safety squeeze. It's been in our back pocket, all season. It's a couple walk offs with a safety squeeze, but. it's a weapon we need and the type of game we need to play. So it was nice to see Blanco get that down, and Samad's done a great job in reading those bunts. So it was fun. A lot of fun to come out with a win.
Is Bobby the most talented player that's been in the organization since you've been around, JJ?
Yeah, there's not a tool he doesn't have. So if you just go across the grading scale, run, throw, hit, field, power, he's got it all. We talked a lot about Mondesi over the years. He's very similar, a switch hitter, but Bobby is producing, and he's doing such a tremendous job just really with his growth. You think about what he's doing offensively, but also what he's done defensively. He's turned himself into a well above average shortstop, and that's great to see. But those of us that have been around him, who scouted him in high school, watched him in all those all-star games, then we were around him through the minor leagues, you know that it's a special talent. And even when he wasn't necessarily performing up to his abilities, he was still putting up good numbers. And now that he's found a groove, it's becoming pretty special. So it's exciting to see, and that's what we needed. You need your best players to perform, and he's performing right now, and I don't think it's a coincidence we're winning ball games because of it.
You'd mentioned his defense. I'll be honest, JJ, like in conversations on the air, I had asked the question, be like, okay, he struggled a little bit short in his rookie year. Maybe he goes the Mickey route and he gets bigger and he hits home runs because he's got all this raw power and he'd be such a good third baseman. And now I'm watching him play shortstop. I'm like, well, that was foolish. At any point, or I guess now, do you guys feel like, hey, shortstop's where he's going to be for 10 years?
Yeah, we have no reason not to think that, and I still think he's going to get better. He's going to continue to get better. The thing that separates him, he's able to make special throws in very awkward positions because of his athleticism. So he can make that special play. I think early in the year we were seeing him make more mental type of mistakes, and he's cleaned that up. And then fundamentally, he's just getting better and better every day. I think, one of the focuses Jose Aguisil, our infield coach, has had with him is really just moving to his left. We're seeing him range to balls to his left now, better than he did earlier in the year. The backhand is always good play. The throw he made last night off of his back foot, there's not a lot of guys in the game that can just plant their back foot. And I don't know what the velocity was across the infield, but it was probably 94, 95 miles an hour across the infield. And there's just not many guys who can make that type of throw. So, a lot of credit goes to Bobby. He's put the time in. He works every day. He's being led by Aggie, and he's doing a tremendous job. And I think the left side of our infield is really, really good right now. So defense is a pillar for us. And now that we're playing better defense, we're playing better baseball.
We're talking to the general manager, vice president of baseball operations for the Royals, JJ Picollo. Over on the pitching side, I don't think we've had a chance to, since maybe the first start for Cole Reagans with the Royals, to talk about what you guys have seen out of him. Other than Brady Singer, really even going back to the end of last season, we feel like he's probably had the best 3-game, now coming up on 4-game stretch as a pitcher, other than maybe Brady for you guys here.
Yeah, Cole's been a great addition. I think the game that he came up and pitched against Tampa sort of set the tone. That game, I think, opened a lot of guys' eyes, and we know competition breeds excellence, and he raised the bar a little bit that day. We need competition amongst our starting pitchers, and the starts since his first start have been good across the board. So we're really happy with what he's done. He's got a great, really, 4-pitch mix. He's got a lot of confidence to throw his off-speed pitches for strikes. So when he's behind in the count, it's not a fastball from him. He can land his breaking ball. He's developed a cutter. The changeup is good, and obviously the velocity, he's got plenty of velocity, and he does it pretty easy. So, it's been a really good addition for us. He's still a young pitcher in the major leagues, learning. We knew this when we acquired him. He's a student of the game. He's got great routines. He's got great study habits. And, we couldn't be any more pleased than we are with his addition.
When you look at, you've talked about evaluation year and taking a look at these players and figuring it out. When you look at where the young hitters were to start the season versus JJ, I went back the last 60 games. Do you see the kind of improvement, I guess, at least that the numbers do? Sometimes that can just be numbers, but are you guys seeing the jump out of the young hitters that the numbers would say exist over the last 50 to 60 games versus the early part of the season?
Yeah, we are happy with it. The numbers are just a result of a good process. And our process early in the year was a little scattered. We were chasing pitches above the zone, particularly fastballs above the zone. As one guy made the adjustment, then the next guy made the adjustment, and it's a little bit contagious. But the at-bats we took last night in the ninth inning, that's a pretty good pitcher we were facing. I mean, he's 95 to 97. He's got a really good breaking ball, a lot of chase. I think he struck out 45% of right-handed hitters he's faced this year. We were in 2-strike counts. We weren't chasing. We weren't panicked. And that's the type of thing. That's when we know the process is right. The game's slowed down for all of those hitters, and that's why the results have been better. But we got to stay focused on the process. It can come and go. That's part of the game. But knowing that you have the ability to slow the game down and take good at-bats is a big step forward for our hitters.
Is part of your evaluation this year, I know we talk about just guys you think are starters or guys you think are starting pitchers, but is part of the evaluation the thing we've talked about on the show before, which is deciding which guys you might be willing to move forward with long term, if that means the kind of rookie or young player extension we've seen across the league?
Yeah, that's part of it. I know we've spent time talking about it both internally, and I've addressed it with the media. We're constantly thinking about those things, and then the thing that has to come together, the timing has to be right. There has to be a willing participant on the other side of the table. There are things at this point of the year that will be more in the off season. We've laid the groundwork with the appropriate people as far as knowing that we have interest in discussing it. But during the season, you don't like to have distractions, so we've tabled those until the off season. But that's part of it. You're looking at short term and long term, we want to be competitive year in, year out, and there's certain players that will allow you to do that, and they're the ones that we'll focus on.
Looking at the outfield, I mean, we saw the move the other day with Edward Olivares getting optioned down to AAA. Is this just a situation where right now you guys have quite a few numbers, at least at that outfield spot, and thinking of evaluating, trying to get more of a look at some other guys right now?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Ollie actually was swinging the bat as well as he had all year in the last couple of weeks, and we've seen Ollie get on hot streaks, and it's unfortunate the timing of acquiring Nelson Velasquez and then giving him an opportunity to play and then him performing, is why we made that move. We still like Ollie. He's a young player that's got some thump in his bat, and right-handed, we feel like we need to continue to accumulate right-handed bats. So the timing of bringing Velasquez up, somebody had to go down, and then when you look at what Blanco's done for us and Samad can do for us, from a speed perspective, coming off the bench, it made more sense for our club right now to send Ollie down. But I don't have any doubts that Ollie will be back. He's a Major League player. He'll be back. This is just sort of a snapshot in time that he'll be in AAA, but we'll look for opportunities to get Ollie back too. But right now, it's a good chance for us to see Velasquez and learn more about him.
JJ, it's training camp, so there's all these stories out here, and I know I'd asked you about something kind of related when we were in spring training the other day. I saw your guy, because you grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan. There was a report that Jalen Hurts works 16 hours a day, like gets to the facility at 5:30 and leaves at 9 at night. How long of a day do you work?
Well, the type of work that I'm doing personally is much different than what any professional athlete's doing. So their work is more important because they serve a fan base, and what I'm doing is just behind the scenes and just trying to steer the ship. But it's not surprising. Great players across any sport put those types of hours in because they just have a great desire and will to be excellent. And just having watched that team play and why they had a good year, it's no different than Pat Mahomes and Kelsey and all the other great players across the league. So I'm not too surprised by it.
I feel like working 16 hours a day, at some point...
It's unproductive.
At some point I feel like you're almost wearing yourself down too much to where you're almost hurting the process a little bit.
Yeah, the sustainability would be a little bit questionable, but, people know how to adjust.
Real quick, I did want to ask you back to pitching for a second. We did see just another move yesterday, or at least announcement from you guys when it came to Jake Brentz, who's got a rehab assignment, I guess, starting tomorrow. Based on that, does he have a shot to make it back to the big league club before the end of the season? I felt like if you would have talked about this a couple weeks ago, I would have said, there's probably no way he gets an opportunity back. But is he on track where that could actually happen?
Yeah, he's on a rehab assignment that's going to eat up the next 3 to 4 weeks. But based on how he's pitching, I mean, the reason we brought him back is we liked the progress he made a couple years ago, and he was starting to look like somebody we could count on out of the bullpen. So, he'll have some season left when his rehab assignment's up. It'll just come down to how well he's throwing, how he's feeling, what's the right thing for him. But generally, when guys are coming off Tommy John, you just like to get them off the mound. There's not a set number of innings. You just want to get them to the end of the season healthy, where they go into the off season with confidence, and then they get a full off season, because those 14 months or so, it's pretty grueling for those guys mentally and physically. So just getting him off the mound on a rehab assignment is a big step. And then depending on where he's at 3-4 weeks from now and where our club's at, there is a chance he could be up. But a lot of it will depend on what happens these next couple weeks.
JJ Picollo, Royals General Manager, Vice President of Baseball Operations. Good to check in with you again. We'll talk in a couple weeks.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
So that was earlier today. JJ Picollo joined us here on 610 Sports Radio. And you asked him the question just about the evaluation process with some of the guys they've acquired. And now that this outfield is kind of crowded as they continue to evaluate. They ended up moving Olivares down to AAA because they feel like they know already what he is as a player, and so they wanted to get more of a look of Velasquez and try to continue Drew Waters, and obviously Melendez is still playing the outfield. Try to have a better feel heading into the offseason of, all right, these are the outfielders. This is what we feel like we can go forward with. Who knows? Maybe they move somebody like Olivares in the offseason. Maybe Melendez is part of something if they don't feel like that's the best path going forward. Makes sense, actually, to hear him talk about the decision to have Olivares down in AAA. Like, you already know what the guy is, so might as well give some other guys some playing time.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. It didn't help. Velasquez showed up, played in 2 games, and hit 2 homers.
Right.
So it's like, guy shows up, in 2 games, hits a homer in each game. Well, then you're like, well, that's a skill that Olivares doesn't possess, which is true. Velasquez is essentially Olivares. He has never been a perfect defender. He is older than you would like most prospects to be. He doesn't have a lot of big league experience.
Hopefully a better defender.
He feels like an I-29 guy, but Velasquez does have one skill Olivares doesn't. Power. Like, he has better power than Olivares. So you take the chance that maybe he can just run into some more home runs for this team, and you can, turn it into something like that. They're in a really weird place. I was looking at, because I'd asked, the very first question I asked JJ is, do you think Bobby Witt Jr. is the most talented player who's ever been a Royal?
In his time, yeah.
And he was like, pretty much, he says yes, right? He's like, we talked about Mondesi and some of these other guys, but you know that it's different. Do you know that since May 1st, I gave you his stats, since May 1st, Bobby Witt Jr. is 5th in baseball in WAR. There are only a handful of players who are better than him. They are Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Luis Robert. Those are the only players who've been better than him from a total value perspective in baseball since May 1st. It's like, it's a good reminder about what we were talking about. When you spend, who you spend on, these things. Can you trust the young players? Do you trust the young players, and how you handle it? Because, whether or not you do it that way is going to change opinions. And part of me still wonders if spending is a good way to push this vote over the top. You go out and you spend $100 million on a starting pitcher, Gold. Is that something that helps you?
I do think they'll spend money this offseason. I think they do need to show a little bit the willingness to spend, and I think that has a decent chance of happening. I mean, we know based off also the conversations around the deadline with what we heard publicly, how close maybe some bigger deals were.
I think Singer being one of them,
revisit
probably.
some of that on the offseason. They're going to be very active. I expect it. They have to be, man. They just, for a variety of reasons, not only for the on the field, you mentioned the stadium stuff, the perception of John Sherman, JJ Picollo as the general man. Like, they have to be aggressive. Now, do I think they're going to make moves and be ready to go and compete for the division in 2024? No, probably not. But the division sucks so much, why not?
That's the only thing that makes it tempting. It's like, you're a bad team. I'm like, yeah, but the division stinks.
It's garbage.
It's the most winnable division. It's like the NFC South. If you're just an NFL guy, it's like the NFC South. You bring in Derek Carr because Derek Carr is enough to be like, I might win this division by 2 games now. It stinks. It's a bad division. that anybody could win in any given year. And if you just run into the year where you play good for a while, get hot, and make one trade deadline deal that worked, you could win it.
If you just told me that for the next 3 years you somehow found a way, any team in the AL Central, by the way, not just the Royals, win 80 games, you've got a shot every single one of those years to make the playoffs because of that division. That's what's crazy. You don't have to win 91. You don't have to win 91 games to win the AL Central.
83.
If you promise me 80 wins on average over the next 3, you're going to make the playoffs, probably one of them, the way things are trending. It's crazy.
You'll never be more than 5 games out of the division. I can guarantee you that.
That's for sure. All right, we got one more show up here in St. Joe. Tomorrow's our last day at Chiefs training camp. We'll hopefully get a little bit more information on some of the injuries, hopefully have a player join us here for the final time up at Chiefs camp. We'll also tomorrow, something tells me, be talking about a massive stadium project going on in Lawrence. The renderings are starting to come out. They have a big announcement coming up at a half hour, a massive investment towards KU football. We'll have some thoughts on that. About $300 million renovation to the stadium for August of 2025. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.